Hello and welcome to the Checkpoint Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about video game news, what we've been playing, all that sort of stuff. My name is Josh Boyles. I am a broadcast journalism student at the University of Salford, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Owen Connolly. How you doing, my dude?
I'm doing good. Hey, my name's Owen Connolly. I'm a digital art student from Newcastle College Gateshead. Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
Nice one. Yeah, I'm not too bad. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Well, we missed a podcast last week because we looked at the news and there was just not a lot going on, and then both me and you we had rough weeks. We were knackered last week. And with combine that with a low amount of news, our conversation would not have been top quality. So we skipped last week, and funnily enough, this week there is an absolute boatload of news to get through. Some of it great, some of it not so great. Also, I'm kind of annoyed that we missed last week because one of the big there wasn't a big variety of news. There was one big news story that we were huge on, but yeah, it wouldn't have made sense to do one last week anyway. So. Let's get straight into the news because it's going to be a busy week this week. Alright, so the first story is quite a small one. If you play Fortnite, you can grab the Season 8 Battle Pass for free. All you have to do is complete 13 of the 20 available overtime challenges, which are coming to the game in stages over the next few days, to earn. And if you complete 13 of them, you'll earn the Battle Pass for free. That's equivalent to about £8 or 950 V-Bucks. The challenges are similar in scope to, the typical daily and weekly challenges that you are used to in Fortnite. It's like complete place top 15 in squads like 3 times. I think that's one of them. All you have to do is complete 13 of them, and they're rolling out like in stages over the next couple of days. So
I really enjoy Fortnite's challenge model. It's really good. I like how it's specifically designed around promoting variety within gameplay, making you play the different modes, making you drop in different locations, use different weapons. They don't feel like arbitrary challenges that you'll just complete through playing. You actually have to actively try and do them, and it's more engaging than some of its peers in that regard. We've talked a little bit in the last couple of podcasts about Battlefield particularly is a really bad example of putting in challenges that are just arbitrary, that even if you don't think about them, you're going to complete them eventually. I play Black Ops 4 a lot, and the challenges in that game, there's different stages, and the first set are like you have to get so many headshots, but then they actually open up and you have to like adapt your playstyle to get close quarters kills or long range kills and that sort of thing. So Fortnite is definitely excelling in that regard in terms of the challenges. It's a bit this is very, I wouldn't say off-brand for Epic to offer the Battle Pass for free. I mean, it's a huge part of Fortnite is the Battle Pass. That's where I think I don't even want to say most of their revenue comes from, because the cosmetics must be absolutely huge as well. But certainly I buy the Battle Pass every season, even though I don't. Well, I think I've reached rank 100 on 2 or 3 of them. But yeah, it's just something that I buy because it's I feel like I'm not getting the most out of the game otherwise. So to offer it up for free, some might say it's a knee-jerk reaction to some of the other. I would call this a reactionary. I would call this a reactionary step. From Epic.
Absolutely, guys. We'll talk a little bit about Apex Legends a little bit later. I'm leaving Apex to last because it's going to merge directly into Hot Topic and download discourse. So
there's no way we can't mention it at some point over the next hour.
Yeah,
but we will try and keep the gushing until then.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to get the Season 8 Battle Pass for free, go on Fortnite. I think you have to complete them by February 27th or 28th, so you've got a couple of weeks to do them. Okay, let's get into the serious stuff. The Activision and Blizzard layoffs this week. So the publisher said they would be eliminating 8% of its staff in an earnings call, which is roughly 800 people across all of Activision, Blizzard, and King. That's the mobile developer who do like Clash of Clans. Not Clash of Clans.
Crush.
Candy Crush. That's the one, and all sorts of stuff like that. So Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick told investors. I can't talk tonight. What's wrong with me, man? He told investors that the company had once again achieved record results in 2018, but that the company would be consolidating and restructuring because of missed expectations for 2018 and lowered expectations for 2019. So the layoffs are mostly restricted to non-game development departments like publishing and esports, with a forward focus going into development staff for Call of Duty and Diablo franchises. This is part of Activision's 2018 mandate to cut costs and focus on game development. The Q3 2018 financial results were at $1.51 billion, which was up on expectations of $1.49 billion. However, that is down year on year, as it made $1.61 billion during the same period in 2017. That is attributed mostly to Destiny 2 Forsaken and... is it Forsaken King, or is it just Forsaken? It's just Forsaken.
Taken King was
Taken
Destiny
King.
1's DLC.
That's the one. I'm getting mixed up. And also Call of Duty World War II digital sales, because the in-game cosmetics were quite prevalent, apparently, for that. So Bloomberg... What's interesting is that, of course, it's horrendous that... that this number of jobs is being cut. It's especially we talked a little bit a few months ago about the Red Dead Redemption 100-hour work weeks and all the ethical issues around that, and how that game developers we don't really have a union that people can turn to in times like this. What's interesting is that Bloomberg reported last month that Activision were granting a $15 million sweetener bonus for their CFO, Dennis Durkin, which was $11.3 million in restricted stock, $3.75 million sign-on bonus on top of a $900,000 salary, and a $1.35 million target bonus. I mean, yeah, if you look at the layoff story in isolation, it kind of makes sense that, we're trying to cut costs and focus on game development. But when you actually look at a little bit wider and see what sort of salaries that the higher executives are on and the bonuses that they're getting, there's the argument that would these layoffs really be necessary if you could just cut down on some of those? Like, are those bonuses really necessary for the trade-off of 800 jobs lost?
It's perfectly summarized with how Iwata, the unfortunately late Iwata of Nintendo, cut his salary in half. I think it was like 5 times, just to cover payroll of people in his company, because of Nintendo going through a similar experience back in 2014, I believe it was.
That was after the Wii U.
Yeah, and it's just very unfortunate to see, and obviously I don't have all the facts. It's very easy to get stuck into the rhetoric and talk about fat cats and greed and things like that. This might be something that isn't the case for, but looking at them side by side, I wouldn't be able to tolerate being in Dennis Durkin's position right now. Like, I couldn't be earning that much money knowing what's happened to people below me in the company.
But, I mean, it's a question of morals at that point, but again, because we're just 2 students from the north of England, it's a bit difficult for us to comment on. But yeah, I mean, if you look at Blizzard as well, over the last sort of few years, Hearthstone's on the decline, Overwatch is on
definitely.
the decline. I mean, you think about...
There's no games that they have that aren't on the decline, to be honest. I mean, I can't think of
Overwatch, any. I think Overwatch might see a little bit of a resurgence in the next few months, just because the Overwatch League started last night, which I watched, and it was very entertaining.
I was very surprised. I didn't expect it to be to get a sort of second wind. I enjoyed it the first time around. I looked on Twitch last night and I had 240,000 viewers.
Yeah, I was up till 3 a.m. watching London get thrashed by Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Sorry, getting away from the topic, but yeah, it's rough. And hopefully, again, we said this with the Rockstar 100-hour work week thing, that we were saying hopefully this is going to be a bit of a boost to maybe get some unions going in the industry, and again, hopefully this is going to be something again that adds fuel to the fire of maybe we'll get some unions coming out, and maybe unions aren't going to prevent these sort of layoffs, but they will certainly provide some sort of what's the word, protection and a bit
That's
more
not
of
even what they. Yeah, that's not even what they promise either. It's just to have a
bit of
solid,
security. Yeah.
Yeah, some solid security going on there.
Mm.
It's fortunately, I feel like gaming is an industry that is more personal than any other industry that there is right now, and thankfully, so many developers have stood up to say we're willing to take on staff. I think Bungie gave an open letter to any staff that may have been made redundant to say that we can accept people on.
I saw a tweet from Dice, Dice Stockholm made a tweet as well.
Yeah, it was the same thing that happened when Telltale went under.
There was a huge like development fair at Ubisoft when Telltale went down. They like seeing the sort of the community rally up, sort of say our development doors are open if you've been affected by this. Then yeah, I get what you mean. It's a great thing to see in the industry.
Gaming is very strong in that regard because you don't get. I feel like in the film industry, unless you're a writer or you're at the front end of production, it's very easy to get pigeonholed into one studio or one specific kind of the industry, and that's kind of where you get stuck. Whereas in gaming, people are moving around all the time. It's like it's kind of like similar to like a new football season where everyone's buying like new players and stuff. It's like you're going here, you're going here. So yeah, I really hope that those 800 people get just back into the gaming industry and get some security.
Absolutely, yeah. So heart goes out to anyone affected by that. And of course, you mentioned Bungie. Actually, I should have mentioned Bungie was also a huge loss for Activision as well. I think their loss was equated to something like $400 million when Bungie separated from Activision the other month, which is of course is going to affect them financially as well. So that's the end of that news story. Hopefully everyone there finds security with their jobs sooner rather than later. In other business news, Jim Ryan has been named as the new president of PlayStation. Ryan is swapping roles with the previous president of Sony Interactive Entertainment, John Kodera, who will now take on the role of vice president. Ryan said in a statement, "I've seen the PlayStation business grow and change massively since the very early days, and I hope to be able to put that experience to good use in reinforcing the foundations of the games and network service business in evolving the entertainment that PlayStation offers to its engaged and passionate community." Well, it's a small story in our news list because there's not really much to say apart from that there's a new person, there's a new name you have to remember. But yeah, I think what's interesting is this comment about reinforcing the foundations of the game and network service business. I've talked quite a lot recently about how services are going to be the thing that they're going to be like at the forefront of gaming going forward, I think. And I think especially if the president of PlayStation is mentioning this in his statements when he gets appointed, that's obviously another big sign that that's going to be a huge thing this year.
Yeah, I mean, the PlayStation management is one that's kind of weird at the moment. Like, they're not attending E3 this year. There was sort of talk when it came down to the kind of culture of PlayStation that they were maybe slipping back into their old selves. They're sort of, I forgot what phrase it was, the sort of anti-consumer. It was a phrase that meant anti-consumer, but on purpose.
Yeah, it's kind of the same as because I feel like whether it's Microsoft or PlayStation or Sony, which is like ahead in the console war, because Microsoft kind of had the same sort of attitude towards the end of the Xbox 360's lifestyle, because the 360 was so far ahead of the PlayStation. They were just like, well, we can employ these anti-consumer like service models because no one else is going to go to PlayStation, and PlayStation's kind of at a similar point, I think. But we're coming to the end of the 8th console generation at the minute. That it's interesting to see what the game plans are for both Microsoft and Sony going forward.
it's definitely a concern from Sony due to them being Japanese based. Obviously, them being Japanese based doesn't necessarily mean anything of it itself. It's just when you look at similar Japanese gaming companies in the past and steps that they've made to do with their franchises, they haven't been as consumer friendly as you'd like. Whereas I think that Microsoft, specifically with Phil Spencer, if you look at last year's E3, which was just so good in terms of the fact that they were just promoting so many games, just games. I think Xbox really has a very strong opportunity to become the yin to Sony's yang right now, especially if it's going to sort of change from Sony being the Little Big Planet and kind of happy, come on, you can come in and play here, sort of resorting back into their sort of dark, sort of, I don't know, like
more mature sort of
platform. It's like the Xbox used to be a Lamborghini and PlayStation used to be a Rolls Royce. It's like, you can't afford this, we don't care.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Jim Ryan brings to the table. And well, I was going to say maybe we'll see something at E3, but they're not going to be there at E3. So who knows? Who knows when the next sort of big public? Maybe they'll go down the Nintendo Direct system and just sort of start doing random just video conferences randomly in the middle of the year. Speaking of Nintendo Directs, I'm going to skip to that one as our next story. There was a huge Nintendo Direct the other day. I handed in my resignation notice at work the other day. Wasn't having a great day. Came home and saw that this big bloody Nintendo Direct was going on, and I was like, whoa, there's like a million games getting announced that I'm really interested in here. This has brightened up my day just a bit. So we'll run down the main releases real quick. Super Mario Maker 2 is on the way. Now includes slopes, which apparently is a big feature. I don't know about you, Owen, but I didn't realise that the first Mario Maker didn't have slopes, which seems quite a big oversight, to be honest.
Slopes are great. We love sliding about. We've been sliding about for the last 2 weeks.
There's another Apex reference. Yeah. So that's coming June 2019. I just
want to talk about Mario Maker for a bit, if I may, because
go ahead.
The Wii U Mario Maker looked like so much fun. Anyone who watches Game Grumps will know that their Mario Maker series has lasted 180 episodes, which I think is their longest. Which I think is their longest playlist ever. Because
no, that's incredible.
You mentioned, I think it was on the last podcast, that new Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, whatever the shite it's called, was released. And we said that you can't go wrong there because it's literally just 2D Mario.
Yeah.
On the Switch.
It's pretty safe,
Yeah,
you're gonna
it's
have a
safe.
good time.
The Mario Maker is quite simply infinite Mario.
See, I was thinking about it because I was thinking when I saw this revealed, I was like, "Oh yeah, Super Mario Maker 2. That's like it's great. People on Switch are going to get to have a go with this. Not many people played the original because it was on Wii U. It's just another, iteration of something that started on Wii U, finally finding a home on Switch." And then I was thinking, well, I don't know if I'd want to I don't know if I have the creativity to sort of think up new Mario levels. And then I thought, well, that's only half the game because then you can just play everything else that everyone else has made. And just, feed off of that community creation aspect of it.
There's a lot of really interesting elements to Mario Maker as well. There's something called... what's it called? There's a specific mode. Essentially, when you release a map... It's similar to Trials, actually. When you release a map, you, first of all, have to complete it yourself to prove that it's doable.
Ah, okay.
And... essentially, you give it the difficulty that you think it deserves. So in Trials, you can go from easy all the way up to extreme, or master, I think, is the newest thing in Trials.
Yeah.
And then through community voting, you could say, do you think this difficulty matches what the creators put? And then people will vote on that, and then it eventually gets its own difficulty. And you can do this thing on Mario Maker where it will randomize 10 to 20 levels in a row, and it'll just pick them from everywhere, and you get 100 lives.
Right.
And it says, try and get through all of these random levels to this point. And I think it does it on like a daily challenge thing as well, where everyone's doing the same one. But there's loads of stuff like that in the game. There's just so many different ways to play it. And honestly, you say that the creativity and building level part is half of the game, which I mean it technically is in terms of the content of the game, but I feel like the vast majority of people who are playing Mario Maker are just playing the created levels. And at the end of the day,
that's certainly what I'm going to be doing.
Exactly, yeah. And at the end of the day, it's, as we say, it's infinite Mario. You can just pick it up and play whatever levels are big that week. It's the same reason that Trials is successful. It's the same reason why just any game with custom, like the Steam Workshop, is successful.
Yeah.
And I am really looking forward to it. I think it's perfect for the Switch, and I'm happy that they brought it to. Yeah, I'm happy that yet again they brought it to a wider.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it works on the big screen, because I think are they going to have like a cursor that you can control? I assume they'd have a cursor you can just control with the Joy-Cons. Well, to be fair, I think
it works like a grid.
Yeah, well, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker has like some basic mode, even though it's not like the Wii where you've got like a motion sensor, but Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker has like a makeshift like motion control thing where you can like point it at the screen and use like a cursor to do, which, you know, it's not as accurate as the Wii. You can obviously tell it's not as accurate, but yeah, maybe that will be it. I don't know. Me personally, I forgot that the Switch was touchscreen. Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying.
That way.
Yeah, you should do it on portable, but I'm just saying if you're someone who uses your Switch solely as a home console thing, which I don't know. There's probably demographics somewhere that says there's not many people that does that, but I don't know. I know I don't use it as a home console.
I only do that for Smash because I don't want to play it on a little screen, but that's it. Every other game I play portable.
Yeah. Speaking of Trials, actually, that comes out in a couple of weeks. I'm well up for that. I know.
That'll be a great meme.
I might stream that for a meme. That should be fun. So yeah, Super Mario Maker 2 is out June 2019. Then we got a bunch of updates for lots of indie games and other titles that we already knew about. Things like, what's that weird Castlevania spiritual successor that's coming out to Switch? Bloodstained, yeah, that's coming out on a certain release date. I don't know, I'm not that bothered. The main one, and then we get into the actual ones that people care about. Owen, I don't know about you, but I feel like there's a gap in the market for battle royale games. There's not many of them coming out.
I've only played one battle royale. Apex Legends is the first battle royale that's ever been released.
First one. Well, funny you should say that, because I played the second battle royale to ever grace our screens, and funnily enough, it's a Tetris battle royale.
Battle Royale 2, Tetris Boogaloo.
Do you know what? I think was it VG? Kirk McKean for VG 24/7 wrote an article, or a few. I can't remember when it was. It might have been last year, and it was a full meme article of like games that should get a battle royale mode, and Tetris was on there for like the biggest fucking meme of your life. When I saw screenshots of this on Twitter, I was like, that's a funny meme, and then I was like, oh, it's real. There's an actual Tetris battle royale game that you can.
Do they
download
call
now.
It battle royale in the trailer?
They don't specifically call it a battle royale, but it's 99 players and one person wins, and you can like. So.
Oh, that's why it's called Tetris 99.
That's what, yeah, okay. Tetris 99. So I mean, it's battle royale out and out. I played a little bit of this actually, just before we started this podcast, because I wanted to see what it was like. I don't understand it. I honestly have no idea how it works.
Well, I've just seen it. I didn't know this. I've just looked on the dock. I didn't know it was free for online Switch members, and I'm an online Switch member, so I'm downloading it right now.
Do it. Well, if you can figure out how it works, then let me know, because right, okay, see, the way I've been playing it is I've just been playing it as Tetris, and then I can get to like the top 50. And then after that, people just start being like picking on me, and then I just get like attacked by a million different things, and then I just die instantly. So you can it's got on the left and right of the normal Tetris grid, you can see everybody else playing, and you can select with the left stick who you want to target, and then you use the right stick to select one of 4 attacks, which I have no. I've literally just played 3 games, so I have no idea what the attacks do. And then it does tell you like who's targeting you, so I guess that you're supposed to also target them. And then every time you clear a line, like an attack gets sent that way. Which I mean, my simple brain can only just about manage playing Tetris at normal speed. So then trying to figure out who I'm going to target with which attack is just another layer that I just can't handle at the minute. So Yeah, I'm very interested to play more of this over the next week or so.
Maybe it's the fact that people are looking at who is playing fastest, and then everyone just targets them. Maybe you're too good.
Maybe I'm too good. I mean, I would. You'll know, Owen, that I joined the Tetris Effect cult at the end of last year.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it was a very interesting thing to see on Twitter. People, it was genuinely cult-like behaviour of how the launch of Tetris Effect. I genuinely thought it was like some sort of. Have you seen Batman Forever?
Yeah.
Do you know that scene where the Riddler, like, he's finally got his, like, the equivalent of the 1994 Sky Digibox on everyone's TV, and everyone is just, like, smiling at their TV screen, like, completely brain dead. That was what Tetris Effect did for a month.
It really did. There was like that was why I bought it, and then I became one of them, and I was making tweets like, "I've not cried in 2.5 years, and I just did it fucking Tetris." Like, it's incredible. To be fair, playing 3 games of Tetris 99 has made me really want Tetris Effect on the Switch, because I think it'd be quality. But yeah, it's good. It's a good meme anyway. I'm sure I'll figure out how it works over the next few weeks and report back. Who knows? I could get addicted to it. We'll see. Other games, there's some other like big releases coming to Switch this year. Dead by Daylight, Deltarune, that's the follow-up to... It's like the Deltarune demo, which is the follow-up to Undertale.
It's like Deltarune... Yeah, Deltarune, I'm really surprised has been put on Switch, because that... In fact, Toby Fox specifically said that Deltarune was sort of just a beta for the actual game, and it's not confirmed that... he said Deltarune was such a big game for him to make, because Undertale took him about 6 years to make by himself, because he's an idiot. Like, he shouldn't have made it by himself. Toby, you're an absolutely incredible man, but please get a team to make Deltarune, because he's gonna hate himself after a while. But Deltarune, the fact that he advertised it as sort of a beta, and to say, you know, I'm just putting this out there, I want people to work on it with me, I don't know if it will or not get made. The fact that it's been ported to the Switch is a good sign. Like,
yeah, it just got confidence in the project.
Maybe he's really actually committed to doing it. I don't feel like he would have specifically talked to Nintendo and said, I want to port this game that I just randomly released for a web browser, and to just put it on the Nintendo Switch.
I think a lot of what that, like, the thought behind that decision is because Undertale got released on the Switch just towards the end of last year, I think, and I think it must have done well. Actually, I know it's done really well, because every time I go on there, it's in the top of the charts on the store on the Switch. So I think that it must have got such a great response on the Switch that putting Deltarune is obvious. Like, it must be a given at this point.
I just really hope that the release of Deltarune on Switch. By the way, if you haven't played it, I do recommend. It's interesting because I recommend that you play Undertale first, even though Toby has specifically said that it's got nothing to do with Undertale.
I think I saw a trailer that says, like, for those that have finished, for those that have completed Undertale, like,
yeah,
at the start of the thing.
It's like Toby says that you will get you'll get more out of Deltarune if you finish Undertale, but the story is completely different.
Ah, okay. Right.
It's weird. It's weird. But just play Undertale and then play Deltarune, because Deltarune is probably the... When did it release? It was last year, wasn't it?
Undertale on Switch?
No,
Deltarune. Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah. Deltarune was 3 hours long, and it was the most charming game of that year. It was incredible. So yeah, just play it if you haven't. Amazing.
Undertale's still on my backlog list. I'll get to it eventually. Would you recommend playing on PC or Switch? Because I know that, like, from what I did play a brief bit of Undertale, and I played it on PC, and I couldn't imagine it being that. Well, I could imagine it being quite unwieldy with joysticks, because you have to use the mouse for it. It's WASD, isn't it?
Play it on the PC. Turn all the other monitors off, and only concentrate on playing that game and get the most out of it. You have to put in. The more you put in, the more you get out.
All right. Okay. Cool. I'll take that advice if I ever get around to it.
Similar to the one on the next list, the next game on the list.
Yeah, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is a weird one. This is from Ninja Theory. It was originally released on the, I want to say, PS4 and not Xbox, on the PC and PS4. Then it came to Xbox a little bit later. Got a physical release last year, I think. And yeah, now it's coming to Nintendo Switch, which is a weird one because Nintendo, it tends to go, it's very well known that Nintendo is the family sort of company out of the big three. They, you've got like the Mario and all like that sort of franchises that is very much family friendly. And Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, if you don't know anything about it, is a really interesting game that focuses really acutely on mental health and I'm trying to remember what it's. You know more about it than I do.
The actual name of
Psychosis.
Psychosis. That's the
one. It's a really, I haven't finished it, and I'm really annoyed at myself for not having finished it. I think I'm about halfway through. But yeah, it really focuses on mental health, and it's like an action. It's a linear action game that focuses on this like Nordic character. So yeah, for it to come to Switch is a bit weird, and it's incredibly pretty as well. I'm like my PC struggles to run it, and I've got a 1080 Ti and an i7. So how they've managed to get this to run on a Nintendo Switch is beyond me.
You might be surprised because
I guess it's Unreal Engine. So
it's Unreal Engine, and it's a linear game, so it's far easier to optimize.
Yeah, streaming could be, just tweak some of that.
But yeah, I mean, I've got a very love-hate relationship with Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, because even though I think it's a really amazing game from what I've seen, it straight up stole the idea of the game that I wanted to make for about 5 years. And I mean, that's petty, and obviously I would never take points off it for that. But the fact that I never know if I'd get the opportunity to make that game, and then this game was released, and it did basically exactly what I wanted the game to do, and it was as successful as it was. Just fantastic.
The developer Ninja Theory got acquired by Microsoft last year, so
and it won so many awards. Do you remember? I mentioned, I think it was on the first podcast, that I'd been playing Devil May Cry, and at the end of Devil May Cry, it takes you to the Ninja Theory in the credits. There's like a tour of the Ninja Theory office in Birmingham, I think it is. And I was thinking, somewhere in this office, doing paperwork or doing some random job that she's been assigned this day, is the random intern that will play Senua.
Yeah, it's quite mad. Yeah, if you don't know the story behind the development of Senua's Sacrifice, actually I think it's I think it's on YouTube, or it might even be in the game.
There's a documentary in the game which is really good as well. That's a very don't watch it before playing the game. Watch it afterwards, but
yeah,
it's a really nice extra thing. It's a really nice extra thing on the disc. They do a documentary both on the development of the game and on Psychosis itself.
Yeah, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is one of the greatest like gaming achievements, I think, of the last few years, particularly. The fact it's on Switch is fantastic. I can't remember exactly when it's coming. I think it's this year, coming to Switch. We've also got Grid Autosport, which is great because I think the Switch needs more 3D racers other than just Mario Kart.
Definitely, it's perfect for the system. 3D racers are so good on a handheld; they feel great.
I love that because it's one that I think is you're least likely to get motion sick playing as well. Because if I don't know about you, when I play like puzzlers and stuff, and I think too hard about a game while I'm on public transport, I start to get really, like, my head hurts. Whereas if I'm playing like Mario Kart or something, I don't know, I feel like I'm much better at that.
I can't play races in public because I'm too tilty with the controller. I am the mum who will tilt. It works.
I thought you were going to say that you get too like angry when you lose.
Angry, well, I mean, there's that as well. Honestly, I need to do another Apex stream because there was points like when I hear the bullets go, because I've got 3D headphones, like 3D audio. When I hear bullets go over the head of my character, I literally duck and shit.
Do you remember when I first streamed Star Wars Battlefront and I did what's that? what's the mode where you just play with a fighter jet?
TIE Fighter Assault, whatever.
TIE fighter, something like that, whatever it's called. And the first time I streamed that, everyone in chat was like, "Why are you moving so much?" And then I watched it back, and I'm just genuinely like in my chair, just like leaning backwards and forwards, like side to side. Well,
That's made me remember your trip through the Irithyll dungeon in Dark Souls 3. Remember when it was. Go on. We walked into a jail cell and there's that jump scare, and I think your headphones came off then.
It probably did. I need to stop stream. I need to stream things that are just beyond horror games because yeah. So Grid Autosport, that's coming. There's also Mortal Kombat 11, that's coming out this year. Unravel 2, it's good to see that, and Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered. Which did we report on this 2 weeks ago? I think we did. Or was this?
No, we didn't. We talked about something to do with Assassin's Creed, but it wasn't this. I think it was the rumor.
Yeah,
it was the rumor that it was coming.
I can't remember if we talked about the rumor or whether I put the rumor into last week's show and then we never did last week's show.
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't Assassin's Creed 3. We definitely mentioned Liberation.
Yeah, Liberation and Assassin's Creed 3. Yeah, well, Liberation Remastered is included with Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so if you buy this, it's coming to. They announced that it was coming to PS4, Xbox, PC a while ago. If you actually get it included with the Assassin's Creed Odyssey Season Pass if you buy it there. But now they announced in this direct the other day that it's also coming to Switch. It's coming to Switch a little bit later than the other consoles. I think it's like middle of May. This is coming. But yeah, it's out in end of March for everywhere else. I'm really actually. Do you know what? I'm more excited about Assassin's Creed 3 than I think most of the things on this list because I don't know. I think although it gets the most like not hate, but it's considered one of the weaker Assassin's Creeds. It does bring some interesting concepts. It was the one that first added tree parkour. It first added
J.tm.
What's that?
It's a tree parkour trademark.
Oh right, yeah, tree parkour. It was the first one to sort of bring the concept of naval combat, which was then expanded upon in Assassin's Creed 4, and now they're making an entire game upon with what's it called?
Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones. That's what I was going to say. Blood and Bones for some reason. And yeah, the whole concept, the whole time period of like the American Revolution and Civil War is just really interesting to me. So I don't know. I'm really interested to go back and play that on Switch. I think. They also teased a brand new action RPG from Platinum Games called Astral Chain. That's coming August 30th. I mean, you know more about Platinum Games than I do. So do you want to? What was your reaction to this?
Well, Astral Chain looks like it was made by someone called Dennis Weebman. I saw a tweet about Astral Chain that was like, right, so we're making a Platinum game, but it's also Sentai, like Power Rangers, but it's also like Xenoblade, and it's also like Psychopaths, and it's also like anime, and it's also like Devil May Cry, and I feel like someone was sat in an office like Charlie from It's Always Funny in Philadelphia when he's got the fucking conspiracy board.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's like, and we're going to have this, and it's going to be open world, and we're going to do this as well. And all of the, 60-year-old, Japanese men from across the table were like, he's fucking mental. But here's some money. Because every other time you've done this Platinum, where you've made a game that we think is going to be shit.
On paper, it sounds like the most mental shit you've ever heard of.
Yeah, you released a game after Metal Gear Solid 4 that was not canon, featured everyone's least favorite, one of many people's least favorite characters in the series, had nothing to do with the main games, and was just him with a sword, and it didn't make any sense. And people were like, this is going to be the worst game ever. You've killed the Metal Gear franchise. It's the best one.
They also managed to make one of Nintendo's leading characters a sex icon and somehow make it work in terms of gameplay.
Fucking Bayonetta is amazing. I'm more excited for this than I am for Bayonetta. Because, I mean...
Oh, yeah, that's coming out this year as well, Bayonetta 3.
But all they showed for Bayonetta 3 is a JPEG. And this game got announced and they were showing loads of gameplay for it.
It reminded me. I've seen enough Genlock adverts recently.
Yeah,
that
it's got a Genlock to it.
It reminded me a little bit of that, to be honest.
I'm excited. I am excited for it because it's Platinum, and regardless of what the story's like, the story will be at best the ultimate meme fest. I mean, never forget that. Never forget that Platinum created one of the best memes ever, that being Senator Armstrong, and literally had a line in a game from Monsoon that says, "Ah, Raiden, there's a pretty meme, exquisite." That is a sign that this game can only be good. I know the gameplay will be good because it's never not in a
Platinum game. It's Platinum, yeah. Well,
But,
I'm excited for it. I'm not one for Japanese games. Me growing up, I somehow managed to completely dodge everything of the Japanese culture. Like growing, I didn't watch Pokemon or play Pokemon or like
Well,
I
me
think
neither.
that's most people's like entry into like Japanese culture and games. Like, I didn't play JRPGs or anything like that, so
Same.
it completely escapes me. I don't watch anime, so but I keep saying I'm gonna like. I think it's also directed by the same person who was behind Nier Automata.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I tried to get into Nier. I did my best. I put a good 15, 20 hours into Nier Automata and still just couldn't understand it. So
I think that's fine. I mean, honestly, I think it's pretty impossible to play. I think it's possible to play Nier Automata and go, "This isn't for me," but I can appreciate it.
Yeah, I absolutely get that. I mean, the combat was good fun, but it just got to a point in the story was like, I don't have the. It's not. I don't know if it's that I don't have the mental capacity. It's just that I'm missing something that makes me not care about what's going on here, and for that reason, I'm out.
Maybe you care too much, and that's why you don't care.
Yeah, that's probably a good way.
That's
of putting
probably
it.
the deal in like Metal Gear Rising. It's very simple to say, "Wait, what, and who?" But
Yeah.
if you just go, oh, "Okay, that's fine."
I think that's probably part of why. Well, we can go on about Metal. I was going to bring up Metal Gear Solid 5 and how like I cared about that story, and that made me hate the game so much because it dragged it on so long.
Oh yeah, but that game, like, I was fully expecting it to be like full mental. I wanted it to be like.
That's what because I kept playing it because I was like, right, and in the next 10 minutes something mental's going to happen, and I just kept saying that to myself. It does
once,
it's so cool
when it happens.
It happens once halfway through
again.
the game. Yeah, and that's it. So, anyway, we're getting off topic here. We can talk about Japanese games all we want. That's coming August 30th, and the final game that they announced at the end of this direct is The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening HD Remaster, which is also coming in 2019. Link's Awakening was the, I want to say, fourth Legend of Zelda release. It came out on the Game Boy in 1998, and yeah, it's a proper full HD remaster. I mean,
This isn't a remaster. This is a remake.
Yeah, it's a remake. It's huge. I mean, if you look back at the gameplay of the original one, it's like pixels, whereas it's really interesting art style as well. It looks kind of like a cross between Yoshi's. What's that other new Yoshi game coming out? The like.
Well, there's
Woolen one.
There was Yoshi's Woolly World, then there was Yoshi's Crafted World, which is the paper one.
Yoshi's Crafted World is the one that's coming to Switch, I think, this year.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's like the lighting looks really incredible, but it's also like all the characters are now done in like a little chibi style.
Yeah, the chibi style. It's sort of got a plasticine-y look to it a little bit, which I really like. It was funny as well seeing it because I mean it is a remake, but it's not like it's somewhat. I mean we've talked about what the difference between a remake and a remaster is, and we came to the conclusion that we don't know.
No one knows. It's a very grey area.
Yeah, but if you look at the gameplay of the original and you look at the gameplay of this, graphically, all the plants and fences and just parts of the environment, they're all exactly the same. They're all in the exact same place, but it just looks so much better. You know, like there's something that was kind of annoying, and I think this has gone through the entire Legend of Zelda timeline of games, that have just had Nintendo are very good for experimentation, for better or for worse. And specifically when Wind Waker was released, even though I wasn't privy to it because I was 5, a lot of online, a lot of the schoolyard talk and a lot of the online forum talk was that Nintendo were going down this route of making it very kiddie, making it too chibi, just
Like very cutesy and like for a
yeah,
younger audience.
yeah, like a cutesy game, and especially when it came from Ocarina of Time, and I don't know if Majora's Mask came before or after Wind Waker, but Majora's Mask was a very dark game, and there was this thought that Nintendo were doing a disservice to fans and they weren't doing it properly, but 16 years on, and Wind Waker is looked back on as probably the most impressive. I personally think Wind Waker looks better than Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the art style, isn't it? And I guess the biggest thing about this new remaster for Link's Awakening, I think, is the lighting. Lighting is something that if you get it right, it can last forever. But if you get it wrong, it immediately starts to show its age.
Yeah, it's why I really. I mean, I love Breath of the Wild, but I just can't handle the aliasing in that game. The aliasing's just.
I haven't finished Breath of the Wild. Another. You just reminded me of things that are back on my backlog to go finish.
The aliasing in that game is just rough, but in stuff like Wind Waker, the game's just so clean and crisp, and it doesn't have to render these like smoke-filled, fiery explosions because it just uses a really beautifully made 2D JPEG, and it looks gorgeous. Like, it's not a bad thing; it looks brilliant.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think Twilight Princess released on the Wii, and I think if you go back and look at gameplay of that now, it looks like an old Dragon's Dogma game. Yeah, that's the sort of art style it's going for.
I would absolutely love a remake of Twilight Princess, though.
Yeah, me too.
Looking at how Zelda's coming along, I feel like, in terms of Nintendo, anyway, Nintendo's mascot is still Mario, and it will always be. There is nothing that will change that.
But a very close alternative is Zelda. It's right up there.
I would say that while Mario is their most famous character, Zelda is their most beloved.
Yeah.
And it's one that they are putting all of their resources. Well, not all of them, but it's what they're really focusing on. It's like they chose to make this the last thing in the Direct. It was when Breath of the Wild was revealed. It was the last thing that was in that. It wasn't Odyssey.
Yeah, exactly.
Odyssey wasn't the last thing. It was Zelda, and to see. There's so many new players to come to the Zelda franchise. I'd never played Zelda when I grew up because I didn't have a Nintendo console.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I played Twilight Princess at my aunt's on her Wii for about a couple hours. I didn't get very far in it, and then my only other experience with it was Breath of the Wild. That was my first my first proper entry into Zelda. But yeah, I feel like because Mario's sort of an always ongoing thing. You seem to always have something new Mario coming out at least once every few months. You know, you've got Odyssey going on, then you've also got the spin-offs like Treasure Tracker, then you've got stuff like Yoshi's Crafted World coming out, and it seems like we get Rabbids. Yeah, we get like a bit of Mario like pretty consistently. Whereas Zelda has releases, once every couple of years, and that's why they're the big thing that people are just waiting for.
Yeah, it's. Especially with Zelda as well, I'm really, really excited for Nintendo to... I mean, they break ground all the time, but they're really going to break ground if they did something like a Twilight Princess remake, or like a remaster, or maybe a Majora's Mask one.
I think Majora's Mask could be the one that people would be looking forward to most, more than anything. Because,
I mean, if they did that, similarly to Metroid Prime 4 that we mentioned a while ago, Nintendo has built up this brand recently that, well, not just recently, like in the past decade, that they are the family company, but you never forget that Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and their franchises like Metroid had extremely dark moments. Like, they were very mature and had a very clear vision from their directors of what they wanted, and they weren't pressured by... they just weren't pressured by the family market. Like, Twilight Princess was focused on being a really gritty, cool game for teenagers. That's why you transform into a wolf.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah, I was yeah, 'cause that's the main thing that I remember from Twilight Princess, and I'm like, that doesn't fit with like the vision of what Zelda's been presented as to me from like the footage I've seen from like the rest of the Zelda games. So it's a bit weird, but yeah,
But yeah, that's what makes me excited. With Metroid Prime 4 coming and them remaking previous Zelda games, I want to see Nintendo just take that final step and say, yes, we can make mature yet still charming content. You know,
yeah,
like
that'd be fantastic to see. I mean, Nintendo are pumping out these Nintendo Directs that maybe they've got something in development we could hear about very, very shortly. Because I mean, I think coming up with like, we've got the big like Nintendo Switch exclusives. So we've got Mario Maker 2, we've got this remake, but I'm looking forward to even 2020. We could see something as soon as, I mean, when was Breath of the Wild? 2017. I'd think three years would be too early to see another big Zelda game. But then again,
well, what was the? Well, I think the last Zelda game prior to Breath of the Wild, mainline one anyway, would have been Skyward Sword, which was 2011.
When was Twilight? I don't know the Twilight. The Twilight, the fucking
Twilight Princess was 2006.
2006, right? Okay, yeah. I don't know the Zelda timeline that great because obviously I'm not huge into I wasn't huge into the franchise till I played Breath of the Wild. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what comes out of it, especially since, yeah, as you said, they announced this at the end of the Direct, so we'll see what comes of it in the coming weeks. All right, and do you know what? Last news story of the thing, we can finally talk about it without hushed tones, is Apex Legends. So this we've been playing quite a lot of this, I want to say.
Not too much.
No, yeah, you know, just a few. I mean,
a healthy amount.
I mean, Origin has bugged out and said that I've played 80 hours of it over the last 2 weeks. I've definitely not played that much, but I mean, fair amount. Yeah.
But even though I haven't, let me just quickly click on it and see how much I have played. Well, you see, the funny thing is here that it says I've played 64 hours.
Well, I've played less than you, and you're a higher level than me.
The thing is, it says 64 hours, and with any other game, I'd be like, well, that's bugged out. I'm like, that could be true. And if so, that's quite sad.
Yeah, it's been at less than 2 weeks. I mean, I'll do the newsy bit first. Okay, so new Battle Royale game Apex Legends was announced and simultaneously released at 8 PM GMT last Monday evening. This is developed by the Titanfall developer Respawn Entertainment, and it's set within the same Titanfall universe. However, there are no Titans. It's all just, different characters. It's free to play, has cosmetic microtransactions and loot boxes, and published by EA and not Titanfall 3, a recipe for disaster. It has 8 legends, 6 of which are free, and the other 2 are unlockable via an earnable in-game currency or microtransactions, whichever you prefer to go with. Respawn Entertainment have mentioned that they do have more to come from the Titanfall universe this year, but it won't be Titanfall 3. And nearly 2 weeks on, the game has surpassed 25 million players and reached a total, it's reached a concurrent player number of 2 million players concurrent, which is huge. You were napping when they announced this, Owen, so you weren't quite there for the
I wanted to see it. I was waiting all day.
You were raving about it in Discord all day. Like, guys, get on this, because it started at like 4 PM and they like teased it for the next 4 hours, and then me and Ethan came in at like 7:45.
No one in the Discord, apart from maybe you, who was kind of interested. No one else gave a shit.
Yeah, Connor was like, yeah, whatever, Titanfall, no one plays that. Ethan was interested. And then, because me and Ethan were watching it, and then we were like, where is Owen? And Ethan said, I bet he's napping. And then you came in an hour later, was like, sorry guys, I was asleep, what happened?
Have you seen this? Oh, guys, have you seen this trailer? I was like, yeah, we saw it live.
It was fantastic. Do you know what? It genuinely baffles me, because we didn't know anything about this game until the Saturday before the Monday. And even then, we were just like, it was rumours that, Respawn have got they're doing a scheduled live stream. Apparently, it's supposed to be a Battle Royale game. Okay, that sounds interesting. And we genuinely hadn't heard a single peep about this until that Saturday, which in 2019 is mad. I mean, we get leaks for like fucking RPGs, shooters, years, but like Assassin's Creed gets leaked before it's even conceived. So to not know about this game as huge, and for it to be as huge as it is now, for us to not know what it was 2 days before release is madness to me. Because we've been playing it a hell of a lot.
Yeah, it's legitimately one of the biggest bangs I've ever seen. Like, PUBG was sort of I'd call that a gas fire.
Yeah, it was sort of a slow burn, wasn't it? It was
in kind of both regards. Sorry, that's mean. But
true.
Yeah, it was sort of like it was a slow. Like when you light a fire like that, it's sort of a slow build up, and then it's like an exponential thing, and then slowly it dies down, which is what's been happening. Fortnite
was kind of the same. No one really played the Battle Royale thing until a couple of months in, and then it really blew up.
Yeah. Whereas this is straight up nuke. Like,
I mean, you've got a hand. I think because as I read an interview with, I think it was Eurogamer, or no, actually it was GamesIndustry.biz, an interview with one of the lead developers at Titanfall, and they talked about.
Quote. It's my favorite quote of the year. What you're about to say.
I'm going to get the actual quote so I don't misquote it.
Get the proper quote, because it's my favourite thing I've read from a developer in a long time.
Yeah, okay, so our desire is to be completely open and transparent with our player base, and part of that expands to how we talk about problems, and we understand this game is going to have a skeptical audience. There are some people who think that there are too many Battle Royale games, or that it's a fad. The world thinks that we're making Titanfall 3, and we're not. This is what we're making. To try and convince a skeptical audience for months with trailers and hands-on articles were just like, let the game speak for itself. It's the most powerful antidote to potential problems. We're doing a free-to-play game with essentially loot boxes after we were bought out by EA, and it's not Titanfall 3. It's the perfect recipe for a marketing plan to go awry, so why have that? Let's just ship the game and let players play. There you are. That's the whole thing in full. We're talking to Eurogamer.
Absolutely perfect quote.
It's fantastic because they know exactly, like, they're very, very aware that all the on paper this game is a marketing nightmare. So if you just put it out there, throw some money at Ninja for a bit and Dr. Disrespect, and let them, stream it to a few million people, get people playing it, and they can see that it's not give them time to be skeptical, and that's I think that's attributed hugely to the massive success that this game's had. And also the fact that the game... Do you know what else that baffles me about this game? It works. Like, there's not many multiplayer shooters that release on day one, and it works fine. The servers are fine. I mean, Anthem broke in the demo, and there wasn't even that many people playing it. This game released to 25 million people over the course of a week, and it was fine.
There's been some issues.
There's been there's been a couple server issues here and there, but on the vast majority,
fully to be expected.
Yeah.
I've personally had zero problems myself, aside from when I'm queuing up into a game, sometimes it'll last a minute and then it'll say we've lost connection to EA servers, and then every time I've clicked reconnect, it's fine. It just reconnects me. But it legitimately launches day one, doesn't call itself an early access game, doesn't say this is an ongoing development. It just goes, here's a game, and the game works.
You can go play it now, and it works.
And it doesn't work in the same way. It doesn't even work in the same way we were talking about with Ring of Elysium, where it works to a certain extent. The gameplay in Apex. I mean, if you've played Titanfall, you'll know this. And if you're not a fan of shooters, you probably, obviously, you won't like it yourself. But if you play a lot of shooters, I'm confident in saying that the gameplay in Apex is essentially perfect.
Yeah, it's a very, very good answer to... Excuse me, sorry. It's a very, very good... I feel like it's found its niche really well, because you've got Fortnite, which is for... Well, it's obviously the art style, and it's quite well known that a lot of kids play it. It's very marketable to that sort of audience, because it's free. That's how they get most of the people in. You've then got Call of Duty Black Ops, Blackout, which has fantastic shooting and is for a bit more of a mature audience, but you have to pay 60 quid to access it. So what if you have a free-to-play model with the mature gameplay and fantastic shooting that you get in Black Ops, merge that and you've got a perfect niche in the market.
Which
I feel like
also has very good characterization.
It takes very much inspiration from Overwatch in terms of its character like hero design. They're called legends in Apex.
Also being a very pretty and creative looking map rather than the beige hell of Erangel.
I mean, even Blackout's a little bit. It's green and orange in it. That's about all.
And also manages to find this perfect. It's gone straight down the middle. And in the battle royale genre now, it's unfortunate to say that after 3 years, the best niche you can find for a battle royale is one that works perfectly. But this game's so much more than that. Like, not only does it work perfectly, there's so many. I think people who are saying that Apex Legends is overrated either just don't enjoy the genre in the first place, or are really missing out on some of the gameplay, just on some of the extremely impressive gameplay and the design.
Yeah, I mean,
design decisions.
If you talk, because we can talk about the characters. So you've got each character. It has, you've got a passive ability. You've got something on your E, which you can use every few seconds, and then you've got an ultimate as well. All of them. It's not really. When I say it takes inspiration from Overwatch, I mean that in the sense that they all have their own character. Like, they do genuinely feel unique in their character. They've got all character sheets that you can read with backstories and stuff. It's tied into the Titanfall universe, but loosely enough that you could be forgiven for you can see the Titanfall DNA there, but it's not.
Yeah, it's like this
essential.
This character used to, be a part of the militia in some way.
Yeah, exactly. The Titanfall takes the Titanfall setting takes a very big back seat, I think. But yeah, and then you can call in ultimates, but it's not like Overwatch where you have to sort of build up a team comp that works well, because you can literally just pick any. I should say there's 60 people in total, so 30 squads of 3 players. There's no singles or duos. It's
20.
Just
20 squads of 3.
20 squads, yeah. So three people in a squad, 20 squads, 60 people total. But it's you don't have to think about your team comp or anything. You just pick one that you like playing a lot, because it doesn't really matter. They're all unique and all the abilities are genuinely useful, but it's not like you have to have a healer, you have to have a support character, you have to have an attack character, because you can just pick whatever you want and it will work.
Yeah, and the design is perfect in the sense that there are no abilities in the game that deal direct. Well, there's no tactical abilities in the game that deal direct damage, and even the ultimates that do deal direct damage are all for zoning.
Yeah, they're all AoE stuff, aren't they?
It's all AoE, get out of this area stuff. It's not like Genji has a reflect and a dash, and I hate playing against this character. All of the abilities are utility, and the game just concentrates. It makes each character feeling unique while keeping the skill ceiling and the damage and all of that balance in the gunplay, which is which is where Overwatch has just gone for me personally.
I think as you say, putting the focus on the gunplay is I think it also capitalizes on a market that we've been sort of, because us specifically, we play a lot of battle royale games, and I think that this is hitting on the notes that all the other ones have been missing out for us. If you think about Fortnite, the shooting in it is trash, because it's all random bullet deviation malarkey, and it's mostly focusing on your ability to build quickly. PUBG is just a test of you can, if you've got good aim, then yeah, fair enough, you'll do all right, but a lot of it is tactics and movement, and
there is PUBG apologism for how the kind of main game is it's to do with strategy and how you move from place to place, and and it's about realism. I'm like, okay, I can really understand why you like PUBG and the strategic element to it. And I can imagine if you had a good game and you're playing very strategically and using like your grenades and you're doing call outs well, it could be an extremely fun game. But you can't deny that in PUBG you can just get fucked. You just can't.
Just
there's
from
nothing
miles
about
away.
it. Yeah.
And there's no counter to that. Whereas Apex has come right in the middle with saying like, yeah, if you've got good tactics, you're gonna do well. But if you can aim well, you're gonna have a good time. Like it puts so much focus on your ability to just like utilize the gunplay to the best of your ability, and that's what wins you the games.
And if you can do both,
well, you're a god.
Exactly.
You steamroll.
Then you're Shroud.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Shroud even I don't think Shroud even thinks. To be honest, he probably doesn't think about strategy. He just
Shroud's part of the mainframe. He is the strategy.
And I think one of my favorite things about this game, in comparison to stuff like Fortnite and PUBG, is I know this is very this is personal to me and it's personal to a kind of player, but I just love how much aggression is rewarded in this game.
Yeah, that's
if
that's
you're
it.
an alpha, if you're an alpha and you just go in and you want to get as many, not be fully reckless, but if you want to say, I am going to own this map, the game directly rewards you for that. It's all about it. It's like you've got the kill leader, you've got the champion, you're on banners. It's like it wants you to be famous, and it wants you to be the one that people are scared of. And that's how you get the loot. That's how you clear out an area for yourself. Whereas
that's
if
how
you're
you
just
get the win.
if you're just running about, getting loot, sitting in corners and waiting for the circle to move, you will be destroyed.
Yeah,
you will
absolutely
get wrecked. And I love that. It's so nice.
And so we've been playing in squads because we've got like a good group that all sort of play it. But it also, well, even for people who play with the group, this system is very, very complementary. But because it only has 3-man squads, it's got this ping system, which I could make an entire fucking podcast about this fucking ping system because it is incredible.
I want to make a shrine to the ping system.
It's context sensitive, so you map it to one button, and if you point at something, you can mark an area that you say your team wants to go to. If you point at an enemy, it will mark the enemy. You can also manually ping like anything. So if you want to say like, oh, there's been enemies here, or I'm gonna loot this thing. If you point at like
supply bin there.
Yeah.
If you mark a supply bin and it's open, your character will say supply bin open.
Yeah, it's not just like visual UI stuff. It's also it also cues like audio cues as well, so people can listen in. And
audio is extremely important in this game.
It's not just like this is obviously fantastic for people who are playing solo with randoms, because it means you can essentially communicate without using your voice chat, which is fantastic. I mean, you've got obviously like language barriers that this mitigates, but it's also incredibly useful for when we're playing in squads that we'll be talking in Discord. It's just so useful for us to be, because instead of using call outs like in Counter-Strike Cloud, like there's 3 tunnels, you just ping it, because that's it's easier to pinpoint something than to try and describe it with words that
It was so fun in those first few days to use, because we saw the ping system and the ping system's cool, and then you learn about the sort of intricacies of it, and there's so much depth to it, and there's so many voice lines that they've recorded for it that you just think, I didn't know I could even do that with the ping system.
Yeah, you can. There's so much information that you can communicate with this ping system that you just wouldn't be able to do with words in a voice call.
Yeah, like if you see a supply drop and then you ping attack on it, your character will say attack and care package.
Yeah, it's incredible.
With one button.
It's so natural. Like because I knew it existed. Obviously, I just started using it when we started playing, and then it just sort of became natural. Like, and I think that's a testament to really, really great game design, where it just becomes second nature for you to just use this system instead of something that you would usually use in a different game.
It's not even a thing like it's so good. Why is this so good? Why am I loving it so much? It's like this is a thing that I can see them maybe putting like a Battlefield game or a COD game.
Well,
and
that's
thinking,
the
this
thing.
is kind of cool.
It's
kind of cool, but it needs some work. And in this game, there's just, all of the design of this ping system is perfect. I think one of my favorite things is going into, especially because we've played a lot of PUBG and Fortnite and saying, right, have you got shields? Have you got shields? Have you got this kind of weapon? Or in PUBG, have you got body armor? Just going into your inventory after you've looted a place or while you're looting a place, and you have saying, I need a helmet, I need a body armor, I need a stock, I need this. And then when someone comes across it when they don't need it, they ping it. They can ping that, so you know where it is. Firstly,
you call dibs on it, and then it
and
stays
then
on
you
your
call
UI
dibs,
forever.
and it stays on your UI. Can you remember the days of fucking PUBG and Fortnite where someone would be looking for an item and you'd go, "Oh, there's one in here, but I can't drop it because my inventory is not big enough. Let me mark it on your. Let me manually go into my map and mark it so you can see it. Gone, gone."
Yeah, and also it's like if you look at like the inventory system and the rest of the UI, everything's so user intuitive. Because especially in games like PUBG and Fortnite, where you have different tiered weapon systems, which this game has as well. It has like blue, grey, blue, purple,
yes, but
and
it doesn't.
gold.
Yes, but unlike Fortnite, it doesn't restrict the weapons themselves to tiers. It restricts the attachments you put on them.
Yeah. But what's great is that the game physically will not let you pick up something that is worse than what you currently have. If you have a worse shield, it just says what you've got now is better than this. You can't pick this up.
Which Fortnite would. If you had a golden SMG and there was a grey assault rifle on the ground, it would let you pick it up.
Yeah, but it's not just like, well, it's you can think about it. We'll say, well, a player should be intelligent enough to know that, but it's just because you've got so much loot on the ground. It's just quick and easy to just run through a building and prioritize what you need to pick up, what you need to get, and then just run off.
Because it'd be annoying, wouldn't it? Like if you at the start of the game, especially if you're hot dropping, if there was like a blue body armor, if there was like a purple body armor and a white body armor next to each other, and you go into a building and you spam A on it, and you pick up the purple one first, then pick up the white one. That would just be frustrating to die that way.
Honestly, there's so much stuff in this game that it's done so well that it feels like it's evolving the genre in new ways, which is it's so refreshing.
And I can only think about, only when sitting down to think about it can I think of all the ways in which I love it, and that's the perfect sign of not just a UI but a great game.
Yeah, it's like because if you apply a lot of the mechanics and the thought that's gone into Apex to other games like Fortnite and PUBG, it's like, how have you not got there? Like, because this is obviously the perfect way to do it, and you've just not done it that way. Which obviously in hindsight is very easy to say, but
and you being a Battlefield person, I mean,
well,
imagine the ping system being in Battlefield.
Well, pinging has been in Battlefield. Like, pinging is called spotting in Battlefield, and but it's very, very primitive in comparison. I mean, I remember the days of Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3 where I think the most pressed button on my keyboard was Q, because I'd just walk around the map spamming Q, and then it'd highlight players for me, and it would do it for the enemy as well. But that's not. It's just it doesn't have the same depth of what Apex does, where you can also ping like dead enemies and say like, oh, enemies have been here, I'm attacking this. But you can't say like, oh, you can't ping Shanghai Tower and say I'm attacking through this route. Like you can ping an objective and say, right, I'm going to attack this objective, but I don't know. You could go up the elevators. I could take a helicopter. I could run up the stairs, whatever. But this is it's just fantastic, and the fact that we've put so many hours into this game over the last 2 weeks is just a testament to how much of a fucking achievement this game is. It's fantastic.
I don't believe for a second that it's overrated. Similarly to Fortnite, I can perfectly understand if you dislike the game, and I don't really like Fortnite anymore because of how the game's evolved. I don't think it's a bad thing what's happened with Fortnite. I just don't like how it's evolved and how the gameplay has changed since it started.
Yeah.
But I think it's very, very wrong to say that Fortnite is a bad game, because it genuinely isn't, and
it has an audience, and say Apex is the same thing. It's
and when Fortnite came out, especially when it got into like season 3 and season 4, the way it was dealing with its monetization, the way it was dealing with its updates, how the game ran, how they were dealing with the community events they were doing, they had it absolutely on the ball. And even then, I can't say that. I mean, Apex has only been out for 2 weeks, so I don't know how well Apex are going to do that. but Fortnite, I think, is still they are still the big daddy in that regard. They still have everything on lock when it comes down to that, and it's Fortnite in that regard has kicked other developers into that. You're going to see stuff that was in Fortnite go into so many other games for the better.
Yeah, and I think, well, it's going to be difficult to tell at the minute, but Apex Legends is going to have a battle pass, and it's coming in March. So exactly. I mean, everything, all the praise that we're saying right now is just before we even get to the whole live service model of it, where we're getting brand new. Because I didn't even mention the cosmetics are all, you can't. There's loot box in it, which you can't. It's physically impossible for you to get duplicates. They just don't. They don't allow you to have duplicates. And all of the cosmetics are, all the microtransactions are purely cosmetic. There's no gameplay altering stuff like there was in Star Wars Battlefront. Yeah, and I mentioned that you can unlock the 2 other legends via in-game currency. You unlock one of them at level 22, level 23, which took me about, I want to say, 10 to 15 hours, and you unlock the other one after another, like, 30 hours, I think. So,
I have them both.
Yeah, and you've probably got about 40 something hours, I think.
I'm level 43.
Yeah, and so it's perfectly reasonable to unlock all of those characters without paying a single cent. But I absolutely will be buying the battle pass when this comes out.
I feel like I have to.
Yeah, I almost feel obligated. We've had so much fun with it. It's just like, well, I want to throw it some money its way.
If you are playing Apex Legends, not spending money on it at some point is, well, evil. Like it's highway robbery. Honestly, this game, like the fact, like I load up my PC like after a day of college or after I've done work, and I want to play Apex Legends, and I have so much fun playing it that you don't get the time to think, this was free.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what blows me away, is that 2 weeks ago we had no idea this existed, and now it's literally all we've been playing, and we haven't paid a single cent for it, which is huge. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to see how this develops, because it is. I think it's definitely one of, PUBG and Fortnite were like the 2 head-to-heads. Blackout maybe had a little bit of a punch in there, but I think Apex is like the. I mean, you see the memes of like, that the distracted boyfriend meme of like,
that's great.
Fortnite and Apex. Yeah, it definitely is that. I mean, I used to play Fortnite every week because I did the daily challenges. If Apex comes in with daily challenges and daily rewards, I'm off Fortnite. That's me done. I'm done.
You come in, be like, I don't really know what they do. They're probably like, I'd like it if they did daily. I want another game to do the same system Halo Reach had.
What was that? I didn't play Halo Reach.
Halo Reach had a fantastic challenge system, which was, it gave you 2 daily challenges, 2 weekly challenges, and then it gave you a monthly challenge.
Okay.
And it was like the daily challenges would be like, get 5 kills with a shotgun, get 10 kills with a DMR. The weekly challenges would be like, win 20 games of Invasion, and the monthly challenge. And it was putting the different elements of the game as well. Like, there was challenges for campaign, firefight, all the different ones. And the monthly challenge would be something crazy. It would be like, get 200 kills in multiplayer in the month, or complete a legendary all skulls on run in the campaign. I can imagine in Apex the monthly challenge would be get 1 kill with the Mozambique.
That is the real challenge.
Impossible.
I'm pretty sure a developer tweeted out a meme of like, there's a meme where it's like, all right, I tried to describe this the other day and no one knew what I was on about, but it's like a list meme. So it's like 1, 2, and then it's like list of like the best guns in Apex, and then it goes like number 1, number 2 is like, there are no best weapons because they all have their advantages and disadvantages, and then at the bottom of the list is Mozambique.
The Mozambique's only advantage is crushing the soul of anyone you kill with it. That's its only use.
That is true. Anyway, I think we've talked about Apex Legends enough. All you need to know is that it's good, and go play it because it's free. So Yeah, that's all there is to say. All right, should we talk about the games that came out this week? Because there's quite a few. Quite a lot this week. I mean, last week there was nothing apart from Apex Legends, and that came out on the Monday.
Let's not...
Go on.
In our download discourse, let's not talk about Apex. Let's talk about the other games.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So today, these all came out today. Okay. So there was Far Cry New Dawn. It's the sequel. I want to say sequel. It's a direct follow-up to Far Cry 5, which came out less than a year ago. It came out last March, did Far Cry 5, and it's set in the post-apocalypse, which, spoiler alert, if you haven't played Far Cry 5, a nuke goes off and decimates all of America. It's set in like the aftermath of that, and you go around reclaiming land. I don't know, it's typical Far Cry stuff, isn't it? You just shoot bad men and take back bases. The reviews I've seen from this, it's kind of in the similar vein to... Because Far Cry does spin-offs quite a lot. They did Far Cry Primal. They did Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. This is kind of in the same vein as that. It's like a half game.
I just imagine the Drake meme there. Like, Far Cry Primal, no. Blood Dragon, yeah.
Yeah. But Blood Dragon was so good. But yeah, it's a cheaper version because it's not like as fully fledged as a full AAA release. But yeah, I mean, the reviews for this I've seen, I think GameSpot gave it a 6 out of 10. I think IGN gave it something similar, 6, or I think it was a 6. I think it gave Crackdown a 5. So I mean, the biggest criticisms that I've seen is that it doesn't bring anything new to the table, that it's just more of Far Cry 5, but in a new setting. Which, I mean, if you like Far Cry 5, I mean, go for your life. I mean, there's enough content in Far Cry 5 already. Far Cry New Dawn is just like a bit of a different flavour of it, I guess. I mean, it takes place on the same map, just a smaller segment of it.
The Ubisoft classic, is it?
Yeah, just recycle all that old stuff. I mean, the biggest new thing that they brought in was the same thing that they did with Assassin's Creed Origins, where they made it into an RPG, where in weapon, I mean, each enemy now has a health bar, and weapons have damage stats. So if you want to do more damage...
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Weird, considering Far Cry 5 didn't have that.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I haven't played the game, so I can't really say much about it. In fact, I've only played one of the games on this list that came out today. But it feels very much... Or on the surface, it looks like it's very much the same as Assassin's Creed Origins, where they tried to turn it into an RPG, not necessarily for all the right reasons. Just as I mean, it looks... I mean, I get the impression that it will probably get start to feel a little bit like artificial difficulty and artificial progression.
I was watching Two Angry Gamers play it, and they were just kind of wanting to hoon around and like have fun with it the same way that you did in Far Cry 5. And there was the general clearing bases stuff and doing story missions, and they were balanced in themselves, but they got to the sort of... They just tried a bit of free roam. Stumbled upon a... what did they call them? Like a garrison or...
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, stumbled upon one of those, and there was an elite enemy in there, and they couldn't damage it.
Yeah, it's just like full bullet sponge. That's what I'm saying. It's just like when RPG systems are used like that in that sort of way, it feels very forced and just put in there for artificial difficulty and for no other reason. Which it's such a confusing move because Far Cry doesn't need it. It really doesn't. If you know,
Blood Dragon didn't do that. Primal didn't do that.
Far Cry is a very simple formula. You just put a player in a big open world sandbox with... It's almost the same vein as Just Cause at this point. You just give people lots of toys to play with and make lots of explosions, and it makes the endorphins go in your head.
Yeah, people really liked Far Cry 5 because it was stupid. It was stupid. It was stupid, but it didn't know it was.
I mean, the story made absolutely zero sense in Far Cry 5. Far Cry New Dawn does still have some of the same redeeming features that Far Cry 5 had. I mean, I really liked Far Cry 5 for the way that it brought in side missions. They were incredibly... Like, you literally just... In order to find new missions, you had to explore the world. You got experience points for, like, reading signs and reading magazines and reading notes, and that's how you found out about new side quests and stuff. Far Cry New Dawn does still have all of that stuff as well, which I really enjoyed in Far Cry 5. I mean, is it 30 quid? I think it's 25 quid or 30 quid. So I mean, if you're looking for a bit
That's
more
decent.
of Far Cry 5, you
That's
might as
decent,
well.
honestly. I mean, it looks like a decent enough shooter. It's got something that I like, which is like a base building mechanic,
Mm.
like just like upgrading different segments of a base. I enjoy that in games. It's fun.
Mm. The
Um,
the only other criticism that I've seen is that whereas Far Cry 5 drops you in the middle of the map right at the very start, and it makes you dropping you in the middle of the map makes you feel like you have like the ultimate freedom. Because, well,
yeah,
you
you
do
can go
actually.
anyway.
You can go north, you can go like southwest or southeast or whatever. Um, but in Far Cry New Dawn, it puts you at the very bottom of the map, and you have to work your way outwards.
Yeah,
Which,
that's an oof because you're
yeah,
just going to be retracing the same place to go
yeah,
to a new place. If that makes sense.
yeah, exactly. So that's the only other downside that I've heard about it. So I mean, if you're interested in Far Cry, you might as well give it a bash. But I wouldn't get your hopes up for anything
It.
revolutionary.
I think if you are going to play it, 100% play it in co-op. I don't
Yeah, I
think this is a
mean,
game to
yeah,
play alone.
yeah, that is a thing. Actually, I forgot that it had co-op. I'll if I'm bored, which is very unlikely given the length of my backlog list at the minute, I'll probably pick this up. Or if
Mhm.
someone's looking for a co-op game to go through with, I'll pick this up. But it's very low on my list. All right, the other game to come out this, or one of the other three that's left on the list, is Jump Force. Do you know anything about this?
Yes.
Right, okay, you take the lead then, because I haven't got a fucking clue.
Jump Force is a 3D anime fighting game produced by the... I'm not reading this off a list. Jump Force...
He's got the wiki up.
No, Jump Force is a 3D animated fighting game made by the same company who make the Naruto Shippuden games, which are like... They basically retell... The Naruto Shippuden games retell the same stories that the anime did. They kind of condense them and let you play the key fights. Jump Force has kind of similar gameplay, but it's the ultimate anime them up. There is characters from every franchise you can possibly imagine, even ones that shouldn't be in there. Like I have no idea why Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh is even in there. Like he's literally just a dude who plays cards, but in this game he can kind of hoon about and like I just don't quite understand it. From what I can see, because the gameplay in Naruto Shippuden is actually really fun, and they had a story to go off, so the story was naturally good, especially if you like Naruto. That was a very good game. Jump Force seems to be a very 50-50 affair of firstly the fantasy in and of itself of having these anime characters who you'll know from various franchises play with each other, just being able to be Goku and fight Luffy from One Piece. That's just a cool thing to see on screen, and a lot of people are going to like it for that aspect. The gameplay itself looks really fun too. You know, it's got that fighting game element to it. It's got the sort of bait and switch, the footsies, because it's a 3D fighter as well. It's a bit more. It's more different to what you'd expect. It's not even 3D in the Tekken sense. It's full on. You can run about and do whatever you like. So the actual combat and gameplay of Jump Force looks very fun. The other 50% of the game is a story and cutscenes that I can only describe as abhorrent. They are extremely poorly made. The voice acting, for the most part, isn't terrible because they get a lot of the voice actors back. So a lot of the Dragon Ball Z voice actors that were in the actual show, they just brought in, and because they're so good, it sounds fine. But this game should not have had a story, because it is extremely convoluted. It doesn't make any sort of sense, but not in a fun way, like a really annoying way. And the main sin of the story in this game is that it has cutscenes that look like they're an SFM thing that you've found on YouTube from like 2008, and that's not like a damning that's not like a damning thing that you'd see like a really edgy, overly critical games journalist make, like a really like one that loves to be cynical, haha, I hate everything. no, they're genuinely that bad. They are extremely like. Do you remember back in the day, like Gary's mod? Like,
Yeah. Is it that bad? Fucking hell.
It's not that bad, but you're getting there.
Yeah.
So yeah, if Jump Force, if you like all of the elements of anime, I mean, a lot of the animes that are in Jump Force, I do like. I would have absolutely loved to see Full Metal Alchemist in there, because I think that would be a really fun gameplay. That would be really fun to play as him, Edward Elric. I don't know. It's fun, and you can make your own characters. Someone's obviously already made Shaggy.
Oh dear.
As the ultimate, the ultimate god of the universe.
I don't understand that meme.
It's I don't either, but it's fun.
I don't understand a lot of memes, but that one is like top of the scale for memes. I don't like it. It's just like surfaced out of nowhere. It's just like, why is Shaggy now like god of the universe, and he's like an all-powerful being?
He's only using 10% of his power, John.
Oh, I don't know. It's beyond me.
I mean, Jump Force looks like a lot of good, stupid fun, and because of the amount of licensing they've done for it, I can see them bringing in more characters as it goes on. And I would love to see that. Like I said, I'd love to see Edward Elric come in to be able to play, I don't know, as like, I forgot what they're actually called, but like a soldier from Attack on Titan, like being able to grapple around would be really fun. But the only character I want to see in is Saitama from One Punch Man, and for people to complain on the Reddit that he's OP. He just wins in one punch.
I mean,
that would be really funny if you could literally just play Saitama and just win every fight in one
full
punch.
Meme.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I had something to add to this conversation, but I mean, I don't play fighting games. The most I've dabbled with fighting games is Smash in the last month. So I'm new to that, and I don't watch anime or anything like that. So I literally have 0% to contribute to this conversation, other than that IGN gave it a 6.3. It's got 58% on Metacritic, and GameSpot gave it a 7 because they were feeling generous.
That 5 score comes from the gameplay. The other 5 is the story. Honestly, I need to show you the cutscenes later. It's shocking.
I think I watched the IGN review, and some of it did seem a little bit sketch. But yeah, I mean, I have nothing to comment on that. So I'm going to move right on to the one that I'm actually kind of interested in, which is Crackdown 3. It's here. It's only taken us how many E3s? 4, something like that. Terry Crews is here on our video game screens, and it's quite average from what I've heard.
It's not. It's not Crackdown 3. It's Terry Crews featuring Crackdown, the game.
Well, see, now you say that, but I've actually, from what I've read from the reviews, apparently it goes full Terry Crews for the first 20 minutes, and then it's just some voice lines of him for like the rest of the game, and the game doesn't revolve around, like, it just forgets about it for a bit.
I mean, I like that in a way, because I really like that, because I was worried it was going to be like, guys, remember Terry Crews is in this. Terry Crews is in this game. Like, are you not enjoying? Is this mission feeling repetitive? Look, here's Terry Crews. Look at Terry. Like,
yeah, I mean, you could say that's a bad thing, but I mean, in my mind, any sort of Terry Crews content is absolutely incredible because I fucking love Terry Crews.
I mean, so do I.
Love everything about Terry Crews.
Do you know that Mitchell and Webb football sketch?
Yes.
We're just like, watch the football, it's going to move. Like,
Terry Crews, he's punching someone, he's working.
Terry Crews is on your screen right now. Are you feeling bored of the gameplay? Here he is saying something funny.
Yeah, okay.
Old Spice.
I understand that, yeah. I mean, Crackdown 3, again, we're getting a lot of games that are, I mean, I know games are like labelled as meant to be, fun. And just sort of mess around. We seem to be getting a lot of games in the same vein as Just Cause at the minute, where you can just literally just get given some tools to go and blow shit up for a bit. And that's the concept of Crackdown. Is it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but
that is 100% the concept of Crackdown. That's why the first Crackdown game. A lot of people don't like Crackdown 2. I thought it was alright. Crackdown 1 was literally you went around the city. It was like collectibles, the game, but not even in a bad way. Like, you could jump super high, you could run really fast. The more of these orbs you collected, the more powerful your character became. You got loads of guns. You did story missions, and it was just like a fun game at the time. Unfortunately, that game has been remade by other studios a lot, and
I think
sort of
that's
innovated upon.
I mean, you describing that just sounds like Saints Row 4 to me.
Yeah, very similar. Saints Row 4 is basically Crackdown 3.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've read about Crackdown 3, apparently it's just the Crackdown formula ported to Xbox One.
Yeah, and that formula,
it's going to be hit and miss.
While that formula, might not necessarily be bad, we might have moved on from it.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, bit dated now. I mean, I get the same feeling playing Just Cause 4 at the minute, where it's fun to glide around a bit, but at some point blowing things up does get a little bit old. And
yeah, I love games that really. It's one of the key phrases for me in games at the minute is something called freedom of expression. Making the movement and gameplay of a game, making a player feel like they are doing exactly what it is they want to do, and having an experience which is personal to them. Not in terms of the story, like branching paths. I don't even care about that. A story can be as linear as it wants. I just want to be able to explore a city or any sort of open world landscape and just go about it in my own way. And it feels like a lot of these open world games are concentrating on being destructive in your own way, but not being moving in your own way. Which is why Mirror's Edge 1 is amazing. It's like, here's a place to get to, figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
And like time trials, like the time trials in Mirror's Edge were so good because it would just give you a bunch of buildings to run on. You could go on any of them in any order, and it just tell you where to get to, and you had to figure it out for yourself. What was the fastest route? And that's what I'm looking for personally in an open world game now. One that focuses on traversal, like making traversal fun and making that the key element of the gameplay rather than the combat. Because the combat gets stale.
I mean, Crackdown 3's got a transforming vehicle where you can literally just go from a car to a plane to whatever, and
but GTA has that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Crackdown 3, it for all that it's worth, it's a tried and tested formula from years ago, brought to modern consoles with not very much innovation. I think that's the best way to sum it up.
Yeah,
and if you want to play it, it's on Game Pass. It's on Game Pass. So I mean, pay £8.
You can play about with it for a bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
And it's not, we're not saying it's bad. I guess it's just that
it's for a certain demographic, and I just don't think that a lot of people are still in that demographic.
There'll be an audience for it. I can see a more casual player picking it up and really enjoying it.
I've seen people tweeting about it on Twitter saying like, "I'm enjoying it. Like, this is my kind of game." I'm like, yeah, fair enough. If you're after something like that, then yeah, go for your life. It's very good at what it does.
I really want an open world game, like I've just said, that is really just focuses on traversal. Like, I don't really care about combat that much. Like, combat is really important, but I just want I want another game where I can do tricks.
You want Spider-Man for PS4. That's what you want.
Yeah, you know what? You're probably not wrong there, to be honest.
That's what you're describing there. You get on Spider-Man. You'll love it. Right, that's Crackdown 3. Last one that I actually can have some input on, because I have played this one today, is Metro Exodus. This released today on the Epic Store. First thing, right, I want to talk about this Epic Store malarkey. I'm all for, rivalry against Steam or whatever, but I wish Epic Games was actually good. Because, I mean, I was defending the Epic Games Store for, bringing some competition to Steam, but now I've actually had to use it to download Metro Exodus. I'm a little bit hacked off because there was no preloading for it or anything like that, so I had to download it on the day today. It didn't even unlock at midnight. I stayed up till 2 in the morning and it still didn't unlock then. So I started downloading it today at midday. It then limited my download speed to 5 megabits, which might sound like a bit of a first world problem, but I get an average of 13 down on my on Steam. So it took me a good 3.5 hours to download the 50 gigs of Metro.
Does the Epic launcher have no limiter that you can change.
See, but I don't understand either, because when I download updates for Fortnite, it downloads it at like 8-9 megs. Honestly, it was quite evidently capped at 4.95 megabytes per second downloading it. I've no idea whether there was loads of people downloading it or whatever. I've no idea, but it was annoying. And when I finally managed to get into the game, it's fantastic. I'm absolutely loving this game. I've played the first couple of hours of the first Metro game, Metro 2033, and I've played the first couple of hours of Metro Last Light. I didn't get around to finishing them. I think that's my trademark at the minute, the person who doesn't fucking finish their games. But yeah, no, Metro Exodus is fantastic. I've only just gotten up to the bit where it gets to like the open world sections, but the first like couple hours are all linear, and my God, it's fantastic. I feel like it's kind of in a similar vein to Red Dead Redemption 2. You know how everything kind of like it feels like a real world because everything is like heavy and.
I really like that in games now. It's super important to me.
Yeah, it's like if you want to, you've got a gas mask. I think that this was in the previous games as well, but you have to change your filters every now and again. There's very, very minimal UI. You've got an ammo counter in the bottom, but you've got a timer for when your filter's going to run out on your watch, which you can see like on your wrist as you're holding your gun. There's a little light indicator on the watch that shows whether you're visible that's like a little stealth indicator. If you want to,
it shows your rads as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it shows your rads on there as well. That's new for Exodus. I don't think it did that on the previous ones. If you got a gas mask on, which you have to manually put on and off when you're going inside and out, you actually have to manually clear. If you go through like a puddle or it starts raining, you have to press G to clear your mask, otherwise it starts fogging up. You can like get a lighter out to like get through cobwebs and stuff. It's just everything feels really it's difficult to describe, but
tactile.
Yeah, tactile. Like the world feels really like it feels real because you have to, like everything you do has purpose because you have to control that. The only thing that I would criticize is that if you like want to go through a small gap, or if you want to like climb a ladder, usually I'd be alright if I had to press a button to do that, but you have to hold the button for about 2 seconds, which feels like just forced. I don't want to criticize it too much because Red Dead did this as well, where you have to like hold a button to pick something up, and that just feels like it's elongating the animation artificially, which I feel like it's doing in Red Dead, and it's really annoying in Metro, which is really annoying. That's the only criticism I'd have so far. But yeah, the first section that you play it's quite linear. The story, I had a few questions about the story at first, but then once you get further in, because I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't played this already, but some of them, like the reasoning behind some of the characters' opinions and actions are a bit questionable, and then you start to get a better feel for how this world works, like how the politics and how everything works in the Metro, and then you start to like, if you think about yourself in that situation, like, yeah, okay, I can understand this person's mentality for this sort of, for what's going on here.
It's a very interesting setting because it allows you to be dropped into, obviously it's a fiction, but it allows you to be dropped into a political world that definitely will have existed in some kind of way at some point, and lets you see, and lets you not be a big person, like you're not a big, you want a big cheese.
Yeah, exactly. And having those questions, I'm quite glad that I had those questions because they were answered, and that makes me really interested in the story moving forward. Because I think, if I'm questioning what's going on, I think there's probably going to be a decent payoff later on down the line. I can't wait to play more. The other main thing I should say about this game, it's fucking gorgeous. It's incredibly pretty. I put some pictures on Instagram and shared them on Twitter earlier if you want to go have a look.
I didn't think they were actually your screenshots. I thought you'd just put. I thought for some reason you'd gone on to like a press thing and it just uploaded concept art.
No.
They were screenshots.
They were screenshots.
Stupid.
Yeah, and it's that's not even ultra. No, sorry, that's not even max settings. It goes like low, medium, high, ultra, and then it's like, is it Epic, or there's another one? There's another one after Extreme. That's the one. And I think I had on mine set to Ultra, so it's not even.
That's RTX on, I think, Extreme.
No, not even that. There's you can turn RTX and all that stuff on, like Hairworks on individually of Extreme as well. So it's genuine. It's running pretty well. I mean, I'm only about 2 hours in, and I just got up to the first like open world section, and it was running fairly well at 1440p on my 1080 Ti. So pretty good. Yeah, the gameplay is pretty good. Stealth, I'm finding it difficult to stealth through some sections, but I think that's just my ineptitude at the minute. I'll probably get a feel for the game moving forward. I also don't have very much ammo for my stealth, my one silenced weapon right now. But yeah, and the gunplay is very satisfying as well. When you do break out into a gunfight, it's very satisfying. They're not bullet sponges at all. It feels very. I'm playing on normal difficulty, and enemies go down in 3 bullets if you get a headshot as well. So
does it work the same way as the previous Metro games, where all the weapons are like the pneumatic?
I wouldn't say that they're all pneumatic, but there is a new customization system similar to Crysis. If you ever played Crysis, you could
love that.
Yeah,
that is one of the best innovations for like UI I've seen in a while.
It's a little bit clunkier than Crysis. You have to like get out your backpack, and then you go to this menu on the top, like a tab, and then it has a list of all the attachments that you can attach, but it's in game, so like your character holds out the weapon and you just like choose an attachment and it appears on the gun.
That's fine.
Which makes sense in like this sort of like tactile, slower paced game than Crysis, obviously, which I really like. But yeah, and there's plenty of them. Like if you find a weapon on the floor that an enemy's dropped and it has an attachment on it, you can salvage that attachment and stick it on a different gun, or you can just take the gun. It's a pretty versatile weapon system.
Yeah,
you can also
cool. Go on.
Oh, I was going to say, you can craft. There's like a crafting system that I haven't really gotten to grips with yet. That you can like collect materials and stuff. But I'm genuinely in like the infancy of the game at the minute, so I'm still getting to grips with that.
So that's really cool. I'm happy that they've like continued the sort of weapon element of it. Does it still do the same thing where bullets are currency?
I don't think it does. I think currency is now separate from your bullets, because a big part of this story is that you're not in the metro anymore. I mean, that's been in the trailers.
Well, it's Exodus.
Yeah. So you obviously bullets aren't a currency everywhere. It's a bit, I don't want to spoil too much, but the culture of being in the metro is very different to what you'll experience when you finally get to leave the metro. And I think it ties into the story that
there were times in the previous there were moments in the previous Metro games where you would leave the metro, but only to like get to another part of the metro.
You were still in Moscow though. This one takes you out of Moscow. There is a big story piece to do with why you're leaving Moscow, which I don't want to spoil.
Well, you put a screenshot of it, and I wanted to mention it. The fucking train.
It's a big boy. The
train looks awesome. I love it.
There's a big set piece right at the start where you're escaping from Moscow, and there's another train, another one of a similar size comes up next to you, and you have to jump onto that train, go through it, and then put some explosives in the thing, and then jump back onto your other train, and it's an incredible set piece.
It makes me. I want the next Mad Max film, whenever it comes out, to have a train.
Honestly, we need more trains in video games. Why haven't we got more trains? Because
trains are just the best. Like trains were specifically designed to be cool set pieces. They're great for. They've got such
like great force like behind them as well. Like they feel
they're great for
substantial.
shooters because you can go through them and you can like shoot people. You go through them. You can get on top of them. You can do all sorts.
They're so cool. Yeah, we need more trains in video games, and the one in Metro Exodus it's a big boy.
There'll be a year of the train.
Oh, there better be.
Like
I look forward to the year of the train.
2022 will be the year of the train.
That's the podcast title sorted. Year of the train.
Year of the train.
Yeah, so I'm really enjoying it. So I've only played the first couple of hours, but I can't wait to go back and play more. I'm very up for having just played. It's very strange coming back from Apex Legends, which is a very fast-paced game where you're sliding down hills for all eternity. To then it's then nice to come back into Metro and just sort of like sit back and take things slowly for a bit. Still be shooting people, like in some corridor shooter sections, but for the most part, it's sitting back and taking things slowly, which is quite nice.
It's slow yet still tense and considered.
Oh, it's tense. Oh, it's tense. Actually, the first section you start out in like a little in the like the sewers of the metro, and it feels more like a horror game, to be honest. Which I think
it is.
The previous ones did a much better job at like horror sections. But yeah, it did feel tense. Well, because you can hear like all these mutants like scuttling around in the pipes above you, and then they roar, and then it's like there's a cool bit where I went through like a abandoned train carriage. And then I heard one jump down on top of me, and I could see, but because like the graphics are so great, you could see like all the dusts like drip down from the ceiling, like right as you can see it moving across the top of the thing. Then it poked its head down underneath through the windows, and I shot it. It was cool. But yeah, it's fantastic so far. Really enjoying it. All right, that's it for everything that came out in the last couple of weeks. Let's get on to Feels Good Man Clap. We've got 2 stories this week to make up for the last week show. So first up we have the Fortnite Marshmallow concert. Did you watch this, Owen? I didn't watch it.
I haven't actually seen the concert itself, but I've seen the clips. I've seen all of the various tweets and stuff surrounded with it.
So the basic concept is Marshmallow, popular DJ, EDM, whatever you want to call him, held a concert within Fortnite as a live event. So he played a 10-minute set with all sorts of visual effects, even gameplay effects, where there was a section where players could like jump higher than you, like the gravity was affected, and then they were like floating and do like the skydive thing.
It'd let you infinitely fly.
Yeah, people couldn't harm each other during this thing, so you could just watch without being like worried about other people killing you, like griefing. This was really wholesome, because like I saw a video. I didn't watch this live because I was coming back from my nan's, but I saw plenty of videos on Twitter of like kids watching this concert like on the TV, and then like dancing in like IRL to it, and just having fun with it, which I think is really a testament to the innovation that Fortnite is bringing to the table. It's pushing the boundary of what can be achieved through live events like this.
The concept of live, like Fortnite, as we said before, has benefited games in a lot of ways that even if you don't like the game, you're still gonna believe that.
You can appreciate it.
Yeah. And something that I've wanted in games for a long time is definitely a feeling of something happening live. Something being pushed to a server and that happening for everyone in that server at once. There will be an MMO at some point in the future where that happens, and it will be the coolest shit ever.
I mean, do you know about Final Fantasy 14?
That's exactly what I was going to mention.
Final Fantasy 14 was like it was an I don't know the full story, but
I know the story.
Okay, go on.
So essentially, Final Fantasy 14, which I consider to be the best MMO to play right now. Which, by the way, I know we're talking about Fortnite. I'm not going to say Final Fantasy 14 Standard Edition, I believe, is on a huge sale. It might have even gone free, actually. I don't know. It is easily the best MMO you can play right now. If you've been playing WoW and you've hated all the recent expansions, play Final Fantasy 14. It's really fun. Anyway, Final Fantasy 14, A Realm Reborn, is the current one. Prior to that, there was a game that was just called Final Fantasy 14, and this was an MMO. Obviously, because people love the Final Fantasy franchise, it did decently well, but because of poor development and just lack of vision, I suppose, it just wasn't very good. Like, it just wasn't very good in a lot of ways, and the development studio said, right, we're going to completely scrap it and create a new Final Fantasy 14 called A Realm Reborn. And the community were okay with that, but in order for that to happen, they still had this world established, and there were still people playing it. People were still enjoying it because it's a Final Fantasy MMO, that's got a huge audience. So they held the first, what I consider to be the first live event in a game that came before stuff like Fortnite that was called the end of the world. And it was happening in real time, where parts of the map were literally being destroyed. Like, if you were on a bit of the map that was being destroyed at that time, it would wipe your entire character.
Mm.
And it would say your character has died, like, permanently. And there's the last area of the map where the devs on, like, Twitter and the game they told people to go to was this one mountain, and you could see this sort of blood moon rise, set over the whole map as it went into darkness and started to explode. And then it logged everyone out of the game, deleted their entire character, and said, "See you in a realm reborn." And that is fucking magic to me. I think that is one of the coolest things ever in a game that wasn't even very good. You know,
it makes you feel as though you're a part of something bigger than just playing the game.
Because you're with other people witnessing something happen live, and if you're invested in the lore of that, that's super cool. It was the same stuff with what was happening with the Sombra stuff in Overwatch when I was really into that. When stuff was getting released live, and I was in the Discord with people, like, listening and trying to figure stuff out. It was really exciting. And Fortnite has done this pretty much again. Just being with 100 other people who you don't know who they are. You can't even see their usernames, but for a brief 10 minutes, you're not trying to kill each other, you're not trying to win. You're just with 100 other real people watching a live concert that's happening in real time. And that's cool even if you're not a kid, but the kids, like, seeing them react to how it changed the gameplay and, like, singing along to the songs and how the graphics were changing, how the map was changing, it was pretty magical. Obviously it's not something that I necessarily attach myself to. I just enjoyed the technical aspect and seeing how excited other people got for it. But not only does this make me excited because it's been able to be done, I'm excited to see how other games do it. Actually, interestingly enough, Anthem did something similar in its beta, where it said if you log in right now, you'll see this huge cataclysm in the sky, and then that created a world event. It wasn't anywhere near as cool, but it was like a similar thing. But I am really excited for games in the future to do live events. Just like a live thing, which is like, something's going to happen today at this time. Log on and see what it is.
I think one of the most, like, obviously this is incredibly wholesome and really, like, impressive. What I thought was the most entertaining part of this whole thing was my cousins play Fortnite and them trying to explain the concept of what went on to my nan, who is the biggest technophobe you've ever heard of your life. It was, and then because she was texting me, she was like, why are the kids on about this marshmallow guy? And I'm like, oh, here we go. We're in for it now. I'm in for the long run. And she still has no idea.
You can't have left her on red for that either.
No, it's just like,
you were stuck.
Well, yeah, no, we're
I don't even like marshmallows.
I think the conversation went something like that. Yeah. But yeah, that was a fantastic story. And the other one, which came out this week, the wholesome story, well, it's not really very wholesome, I just thought it was funny. Steam VR software has had to be updated because Beat Saber players have exceeded speeds previously thought too fast than was humanly possible for controller motion.
That quote should be changed. It should say this. Steam VR software has been updated because the Beat Saber players have exceeded speeds thought to be too fast that was that was humanly possible for humans because they're Asian. That's what it should say, and I mean that obviously from a place of pure wonderment and, like, what the fuckism when it comes to watching, you know, primarily Asian players play rhythm games, and Beat Saber is no exception. I believe it. I believe stuff like this.
I mean, even I loaded up Beat Saber the other day just to try it out again after this update, and you can tell the difference because I was playing. They just recently added like Expert Plus for all of the bass songs, which are genuinely fucking impossible.
Well, they had to, because experts a lot of the time wasn't actually too tough.
I've got S ranks on the expert songs. They're not that difficult. But yeah, the Expert Plus ones are ridiculous. And yeah, there are points where I feel like it's not my ability that's holding me back in these. It's the controller's ability to update that is holding. Like, I feel like the controllers are slower than I am, which is annoying. So it's great that it's great. Actually, do you know what? I think it's fantastic that Steam are actually taking note of a single game that is being held back by their hardware, and updating it so that it works, which I think is fantastic. I'm still playing Beat Saber. Do you know what I've just realised, Owen? We've skipped a topic.
What's that?
We haven't done download discourse.
Oh, let's do that then.
We went straight from hot topic to release rundown.
We can do that then.
I'll have to edit in download discourse in the middle.
I mean, Apex and Exodus are on there. We talked about those.
That's true.
I've only got one other game that I want to talk about.
I've only got a couple, and they're very short ones, so we can just do it quickly. Go on, you go first.
Right. So the game that I started to play last night, actually, due to the release. I don't know what... Because this game has been out for a long time, and there's nothing that necessarily was stopping me from playing it, but an entire sequel was announced. And after seeing everyone go mad, I finally gave in, and I bought Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania game created by Team Cherry, and similarly to... What was that game I mentioned? Similarly to Slay the Spire, it's gone from a cool Metroidvania indie game that people really like to an absolute smash hit. Similarly like to stuff like Shovel Knight as well. It's an absolute cult and popular classic now through gaming. It's got multiple DLCs, the size of their studio is increased tremendously, and now they're releasing a whole new sequel being Hollow Knight Silk Song, I think, or maybe it's Hornet Silk Song because you play as the Hornet. I knew I would like this game, and I was keeping it for a rainy day, and I started playing it very late last night, and I can already tell that it's amazing. But it's tricky for me because I can't work out why. The gameplay,
I get that with a lot of games.
Yeah, the gameplay's good, but it doesn't do anything incredibly new, at least not yet. I don't know. Like I think it's the gameplay that's not massively impressing me at the moment. But there were. I was talking to Josh about this earlier, and he said, "Did you get it on Switch? Did you get it on PC?" I said, "I got it on PC," and I was playing this game like late at night with my on PC on the big monitor with the full volume headphones, and the environment and atmosphere work that's gone into both the music, the sound effects, and everything that comes together. There's atmosphere at certain points in this game that has actually genuinely really blown me away, like on quite a deep level, and I can't really understand it. I don't know how far you got into Hollow Knight, Josh.
I mean, I also picked this up I got it on Switch, and I've had it for, I want to say, I bought it as soon as it came out on the Switch, which I think was about summer. No, it was before summer last year. Anyway, I got it on Switch, and I struggled with it because, again, it was something that was pitched to me as, I don't want to say the Dark Souls of Metroidvanias, but like something that was kind of like Dark Souls. Like, its atmosphere is dark, its gameplay is very similar, that you have to, like, you do soul runs if you die.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to... The thing I struggled with was, one, the combat, because as far as I can tell, it's just a one-button press thing that you just sort of jab at things with your needle, which I struggled with the bosses that have much more complicated movesets. So I struggled with that, and I also struggled with the navigation, because you don't actually get a map. You have to, like, find a quill and a piece of paper around the thing. So I felt like I was just going around in circles, getting lost. But I've heard that once you get past, like, getting into this game is the most difficult bit, and once you are in, you are hooked forever, and it's the best thing. So
I can definitely understand that. I had my hour of wandering around and not really knowing where I was going, and I would always want to consult a map like I was playing Metroid or like Ori and thinking, oh, I'm here, and this is a place I haven't explored yet, and I couldn't do that for a bit, and I thought, I don't know about that. But you can tell once you've played it for a while that is very much a design decision that they've made for a reason, and it's a very good reason. This is a game about marking where you've been, and this aspect of having to buy a map and visit the map shop and kind of, I don't know, just kind of procedurally updating where you've been and stuff. It's not slow, it's more the fact that it feels a lot more rewarding, and as we mentioned earlier with Metro, it's a very weird comparison, but it's actually really similar. That the game feels really tactile, and rather than just being somewhere that you run through and kind of ignore the background, the fact that the game is so tactile and close and considered makes you notice everything, in a way. Firstly, the atmosphere of the game, in comparison to like a lot of these Metroidvanias you see, especially with a sort of, because you look at the art style of Hollow Knight and you go, oh, that's a cute game, because it is. It's got cute elements to it. A lot of the character designs are very good, in that regard, and you think, right, well, this is just going to be like a funny, charming game similar to something like Undertale, and it might have like some dark bits, but it's going to be like a Tim Burton. That's what I expected it to be like. I expected it to be very Tim Burton. It's not. This is a game that has an atmosphere unlike one that I've really seen before, because it's a very cute game and it's very nicely drawn, and it's not got any egregious violence to it, but it's got a very dark, oppressive atmosphere to it, but one that's kind of inviting at the same time. And that comes down to the atmosphere of this game being absolutely incredible when it comes down to its sound design. The little songs that the characters sing to let you know they're around, you'll come to learn them, and they feel nostalgic even though I've only played it for 2 hours. And there was one particular moment that really, really sold me on the game. And it's the one I mentioned to you earlier, where I was like, this had a really profound effect on me, and I couldn't work out why it was. I walked in to this area that looked like the bug... Like, essentially, Hollow Knight takes place in a world where it's insects. It's like every character is a kind of insect. And it does, and it takes insect designs and makes them look really cool or cute rather than looking terrifying like in other games. And that's really cool to see, because I love insects, and you know, like spiders and stuff, and people really hate them. To see them portrayed nicely is nice. But there was a bit where I walked into an area that looked like the bug equivalent of, like, you know, like a Tokyo kind of subway?
Yeah.
It was weird. It was like, I can't describe it perfectly, but it was like an old station.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think I've been to that area.
It was like an old station, and there was a character there that was just sat reminiscing, and I walked up to him, and he said, this is an area, like, this is the station where there used to be so much activity, and you'd hear the stag bugs running through here constantly. And I pressed the next dialogue, and he said, I swear, I don't know if it's just me being sat here for too long, but I swear you can still hear the bell of the old toll booth. And I didn't think much of it, and then I went away from him and started exploring the station area, and you can really faintly in the background hear it.
Oh, cool.
you can really faintly hear it, and then you go up to this point where the stag bug's how you fast travel around.
Yeah.
He's the guy who goes like, "Ooh," I love
Yeah.
him. You go up to the bit where he's supposed to be, but he's not, and yet again, you really faintly hear like, like people talking in public, like the murmur of a public,
Yeah.
like the you can hear that really faintly as well,
Oh, cool.
as if to say like, this is what it used to be like,
Yeah.
and it got me right there. Fucking amazing bit of little storytelling done through environmental stuff, similarly to how, like Dark Souls does it. But
Yeah.
that catapulted the game from a good Metroidvania into, this is a bit of art, and I'm gonna savor it for however long it lasts. And I've heard it's actually really fucking long as well.
Yeah,
So
I think it's about 40 plus hours, I think.
Yeah, so if it can keep that kind of stuff up and it just keeps building up, I've heard the lore in it's really good as well.
I think it's
Similar
got
to-
multiple endings as well. Like, I think you finish it like the first ending at 40 hours, and I think there's more after that.
Yeah, because it gets very brutal in terms of the difficulty later on, which is
Yeah.
where. But if it can keep up moments like that, then it's probably going to be one of my games of the year. And if it is one of my games of the year, then I get to play Silksong right afterwards.
That's something else I missed out of the news. A sequel for Hollow Knight got announced at the Nintendo Direct. Hollow Knight Silksong, which is a direct, full-blown sequel to Hollow Knight. I think
Yeah,
it's
and you get to play as the Hornet. I fought her for the first time last night, and she's a bastard. She's so fucking hard. And I looked her up because I looked at the design of her, because I thought that's a really, really cool design of the Hornet. It's probably my favorite design I've seen in the game so far. And I saw an article, like just one of the articles that I saw, which was like, the first time you fight the Hornet, she's okay. The second time, fuck. And I thought the first time was rough. So,
Oh, dear.
yeah, I look forward to it a lot.
Cool. Yeah, well, I look forward to hearing your feedback on it, because again, it's something that I really, really want to break into. But every time I've tried, I've had such difficulty. I don't know if that's just because I'm playing on the Switch and maybe not getting as much of the immersive stuff. I mean, I could put it on my big screen and use a controller.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'll probably do that actually. But yeah, I look forward to getting into that. Is that all apart from Apex?
Yeah, apart from Apex, that's all I've really wanted to talk about.
Nice. Well, I've got a few games on my list. I'll get the small ones out of the way. Dark Souls is on here as well. I've nearly finished it. I literally just have to do Gwyn and I'm done. But I'm having issues. I'm having some big issues. Yeah, he's tough.
He's tough but fair.
Yeah, he's tough but fair, and it's just I think it's a lot of it is because I completed Dark Souls in sort of like very short sprints. I play it like hours on hours and hours for a day, and then don't come back to it for a month, and that's just not keeping my
You're gonna have to get back to it, because then you won't have the muscle memory for Gwyn.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't have the experience that, like, if I'd played it consistently for a month, I'd probably be all right with Gwyn. But because I'm just coming back to it after such a long break, it's quite difficult. That's all I have to do, and then I've completed Dark Souls 1, and it's annoying me. So that's last thing on my list. Then I've got Just Cause 4. I mentioned that. I've been playing that just because it's a game that, while we're all talking in Discord and I'm not doing anything, I'm like, well, Just Cause 4 is pretty mindless in it. You just skip through all the cutscenes, just blow things up. But the mission...
as we saw last night, can concoct some just...
Oh my god.
Pure memery.
It gets, like, fucking hell. Like, Just Cause 4 is annoying me to no end, because all the missions that I'm doing are literally just, like, activate these these terminals and blow everything up at the same time, or liberate these 3 prisoners and blow everything up. And it's, like, all the mission structures are so dated in terms of their gameplay style that it's really boring me. And then I get, like... I encounter bugs that are just so funny. I'm like, well, this is why I'm playing Just Cause, because it gives me a good giggle. I'm not even playing it for the gameplay. Yeah, go on my Twitter if you want to. There's like a video of like I'm supposed to pick up these 2 people, like these 2 militia people, and one of them gets in, and the other one starts running into the side of my truck, and it pushes my truck like towards this
Fucking love
lighthouse,
it so
where
much.
this perfectly innocent woman is standing outside this lighthouse with this truck just slowly like creeping up on her, and then it hits the woman. The woman does nothing, and the militia woman stops running into my truck, walks away from the truck a little bit, and then comes back and like shoulder barges it as if she's like been like thinking about what she's gonna do. Shoulder barges the truck, and the truck like knocks over this innocent woman who then goes underneath it, and then the militia woman finally gets in the truck and says, "I think I did something to my shoulder." It's just the funniest series of events. It's the funniest series of events I've ever seen in a video game. It's incredible. But yeah, I mean, it's quite boring. Other than that. What else? And yeah, the only other game I've got on my list... Oh, no, sorry. Stardew Valley is the other game that I've dipped into. I started playing it on Switch. Well, the only reason I started playing it is because I wanted to go to sleep, and I've heard that Stardew Valley sends you to sleep. It's quite a relaxing game. So I started playing it at like 3 in the morning.
I heavily disagree with that.
And so do I, actually, because I was playing it and I was like, I don't want to go to bed now. I've done a week and a bit of this, and I've been playing for an hour and a half, and I'm like, all I want to do is just look up farm designs and
it's like saying Minecraft makes me like go to sleep. No, it doesn't. It makes me just want to keep doing runs and keep doing whatever project that I'm doing.
Yeah, and as someone who in real life is fucking enamored with staying like productive and having to feel like I've accomplished something with my day, Stardew Valley's fantastic because I constantly feel like I'm doing like, you have like an energy meter and you have to like prioritize your tasks and that's just something that I love doing because I love a to-do list. So yeah, I've tried getting into it before, but every time I've tried doing it, I've had my brother over my shoulder who's a Stardew Valley like fanatic. He's got like hundreds of hours in it, and I feel like that was a mistake. I feel like if I'd gone into it just figuring out how to do things, because my brother, God bless him, I know he sits there, he's very much the backseat gamer where he was like, oh, you could be doing this so much more efficiently. I'm like, I know, but just let me figure things out. So but yeah, now I'm doing it by myself. I'm really enjoying it. And the other game I bought yesterday is Astral Chain, which has been in early access for a long time. And it finally came into like 1.0. So Astral Chain is, it's like I think you can play it in solo, but it's mainly like a co-op game. So I was playing it with my mate Dan, and then I think Connor just bought it as well. So we're like, you start on a planet, you have like a little base, and you have to like craft these like 3D printers and like collect resources and minerals to craft different things, and then you eventually build rockets and go off to different planets, and then you have to like explore this solar system kind of thing. But it's really cool in that you have like the starter planet. The starter planet doesn't have all the resources that you need to get to the further planets, so you have to like build rockets to go up to like medium planets, and then at these medium planets find the resources that you need, then go back to the smaller planet and use those resources on that planet. So it's kind of like the progression is staggered in a way that feels really really cool. And yeah, it's been great fun to play with a couple of mates. Kind of in the same sense of like Minecraft, it kind of feels a little bit like the Minecraft Galacticraft mod, but much more focused than that sort of thing. Yeah, it's just been a good thing to play co-op. Been enjoying it. And that's about it, really. Nothing else on my list apart from Tetris and Apex and Metro.
I'm gonna have a few rounds of Tetris 99 after this. I need to see.
Let me honestly, like, because I can't figure it out. I mean, I did only play 3 games, and they were enjoyable just because of the fact it's Tetris and you can't go wrong with Tetris. But it's just beyond me. Right, I'm going to wrap up this podcast because I don't know if you've been able to hear, for the last 20 minutes, my stomach has been rumbling like mad.
Same.
I'm not eating anything all day. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave us, like, I don't know if you can leave reviews on Spotify. I don't think you can. Anyway, if it's on YouTube, give it a like or whatever. I have a Console Generations feature video going up on my news company website that I work for. I'll leave a link to it down below if you're interested. It's all about what the next console generation could look like in terms of the Xbox and PlayStation, even the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, that'd be interesting if you're interested. Catch you next week. Thanks for listening. See you later.
Next week. See you later.
Bye bye.